As the flames licked higher around the stake on that fateful island in the Seine, Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, raised his voice above the crackling inferno, his words slicing through the Parisian air like a blade forged in hell itself. "Pope Clement, King Philip, before this year ends, you will stand with me before the throne of God to answer for your crimes." The crowd gasped as the fire consumed him, his white mantle turning to ash, but his curse lingered like smoke, a spectral promise of vengeance that seemed to echo through the centuries. Within months, both the Pope and the King lay dead, Clement felled by a mysterious illness, Philip by a hunting accident that left his body twisted and broken. Was this divine retribution, or the first thread in a web of hidden powers that the Templars had woven into the fabric of history? What if de Molay's final words weren't mere defiance, but an invocation of ancient secrets, a curse drawn from forbidden knowledge that could topple empires? And if that curse still resonates today, shaping the shadows of our modern world, what other enigmas did these warrior monks bury with them, treasures that could rewrite humanity's story? Relics that defy explanation, and conspiracies that bind the past to the present in ways we dare not imagine. Picture it now. The year is 1314, and the once mighty Order of the Temple, guardians of Christendom's holiest paths, reduced to ashes by betrayal. But de Molay's curse wasn't born in that moment of agony. It was the culmination of secrets hoarded over 2 centuries, secrets that began in the dusty tunnels beneath Jerusalem's Temple Mount. The Templars, those enigmatic figures cloaked in white with blood-red crosses, weren't just knights, they were keepers of the unknown, whisperers of truths too dangerous for the light of day. Their initiation rituals, shrouded in midnight veils, demanded acts that blurred the line between devotion and heresy, spitting upon the cross, denying Christ 3 times like Peter in the garden, kissing forbidden places on their brothers' bodies. Were these mere tests of obedience, as some historians claim, or gateways to a deeper occult wisdom, inherited from ancient mystery cults like the Eleusinian rites of Greece, or the Gnostic sects that predated Christianity? Imagine a novice knight, trembling in a candle-lit chamber, his lips pressed to the spine of a superior, whispering oaths that bound him not just to God, but to a hidden brotherhood that spanned continents. What if these rituals weren't blasphemous inventions of their accusers, but echoes of alchemical secrets, formulas for transmuting base metals into gold, or the soul into something immortal? And then there's Baphomet, that grotesque idol whose name alone conjures visions of demonic pacts and shadowed altars. Described in torture-extracted confessions as a severed head with 3 faces, sometimes bearded and horned, sometimes whispering prophecies in forgotten tongues, was it a corruption of Mahomet, a slur against Islam, or something far older, a symbol of Sophia, the divine wisdom of the Gnostics? Some whisper that Baphomet was no mere statue, but a living relic, perhaps the embalmed head of John the Baptist, or even a mechanical oracle crafted from Byzantine ingenuity, capable of answering questions with unearthly accuracy. During their trials, Templars confessed to worshipping it, anointing it with oils and blood, but under the rack and the iron boot, truth bends like heated steel. What if Baphomet represented the Templars' true faith, a syncretic blend of Christian, Jewish, and Islamic mysticism, gleaned from their diplomatic dalliances with Muslim leaders like Saladin? In the Holy Land, they didn't just fight. They negotiated, traded knowledge in secret meetings under truce flags. Could Baphomet be the key to a lost gospel, one that reveals Jesus not as divine son, but as a mortal teacher married to Mary Magdalene, fathering a bloodline that the Templars swore to protect? The questions pile like unopened tombs. If such a relic exists, where is it now, buried in the vaults of the Vatican, or hidden in plain sight among the artifacts of a Swiss bank? Deeper still lies the allure of the Templars' hidden treasures, fortunes that dwarfed the coffers of kings and popes alike. Their banking system, a revolutionary web of credit letters and safe deposits, amassed wealth from donations, ransoms, and spoils of war gold, jewels, and relics funneled from Europe to the Levant and back. But when Philip IV's agents stormed the Paris temple in 1307, They found the vaults eerily empty. Where had it gone? Legends speak of a fleet of 18 galleys vanishing from La Rochelle harbour on the eve of the arrests, laden with chests of glittering bounty, sailing into the mists toward unknown shores. Did they head to Scotland, where Robert the Bruce, excommunicated and desperate, welcomed fugitive Templars who turned the tide at Bannockburn in 1314? Artifacts like the Rosslyn Chapel, with its carved symbols echoing Templar motifs, corn and aloe vera, plants unknown in medieval Europe, but native to the Americas, fuel theories of transatlantic voyages centuries before Columbus. Imagine Templar ships cresting Atlantic waves, guided by star charts pilfered from Arab astronomers, carrying not just gold, but the Ark of the Covenant itself, unearthed from beneath Solomon's Temple during those mysterious 9 years of excavation after their founding. Yes, the Temple Mount tunnels, those labyrinthine passages discovered by British archaeologists in 1867, riddled with Templar spurs, lances, and seals. For nearly a decade after 1119, the 9 founding knights sequestered themselves there, digging not for glory, but for something profound. The Copper Scroll of Qumran, that enigmatic Dead Sea artifact listing hidden treasures in coded locations, might have been their guide. Scholars like Hugh J. Blank Schonfield argue the Templars found it, decoding its riddles to uncover Essene hoards, gold bars, incense vessels, and perhaps scrolls proving Jesus survived the crucifixion, or married and sired children whose descendants walked among European royalty. The Merovingian kings of France, with their long hair and claims of divine blood, are often linked in these tales, protected by the Templars, until Philip's purge severed the line. And what of the Holy Grail? Not a mere cup, but a vessel of secrets, perhaps the chalice from the Last Supper, or metaphorically, the womb of Magdalene carrying Christ's lineage. Templar chroniclers carried fragments of the true cross into battle, but was that a decoy for greater prizes like the Shroud of Turin, first displayed in 1357 by a Charney family linked to Geoffroy de Charney, burnt alongside de Molay? Carbon dating controversies aside, the shroud's bloodstains and pollen from Jerusalem plants whisper of Templar guardianship, hidden during the Order's fall and resurfacing as a symbol of their enduring mystery. These treasures weren't just material. They encompassed knowledge that could shatter the Church's foundations. Conspiracy theorists point to the Templars' exposure to Islamic scholarship, algebra, astronomy, medicine blended with Kabbalistic Judaism encountered in the Holy Land. Did they master the Philosopher's Stone, that alchemical elixir for eternal life, symbolized in their architecture? Cathedrals like Chartres, built on Templar designs, align with solstices and stars, their labyrinth floors echoing initiation paths. The Priory of Sion, that shadowy society popularized in the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, claims descent from the Templars, guarding Magdalene's bloodline through figures like Leonardo da Vinci, whose paintings hide codes pointing to Templar secrets. Da Vinci's Last Supper with its ambiguous Mary Magdalene figure. Could it be a Templar nod to the sacred feminine suppressed by the patriarchy? Yet, the curse of de Molay binds these enigmas together, a spectral thread weaving through history's darker corners. Fulfilled in 1314 with the deaths of his tormentors, it didn't stop there. The French monarchy crumbled in the Revolution, guillotines echoing the stakes of old. Napoleon, rummaging through Vatican archives, allegedly found Templar documents that fueled his imperial ambitions, only to meet Waterloo's defeat. In the 20th century, esoteric societies like the Thule Group, precursors to the Nazis, sought Templar relics for occult power. Himmler's SS modelled on the Order's structure, scouring for the Grail in Cathar strongholds like Montsegur, where Templars reportedly aided heretics in 1244. Even today, whispers link Templar descendants to global elites. The Bilderberg Group, the Illuminati, modern Freemasons whose rituals mirror Templar initiations spitting on crosses, oaths of secrecy, symbols like the all-seeing eye that adorns the US dollar bill. Was the American founding influenced by Templar fugitives? Masonic founders like Benjamin Franklin and George Washington bore Templar-inspired emblems, and the layout of Washington, D.C. aligns with sacred geometry, akin to Templar sites. But questions linger, unanswered and tantalizing. If the Templars discovered proof of Jesus' humanity, why hide it fear of chaos or leverage over the church? Does Baphomet still speak in hidden chambers, its prophecies guiding shadowy cabals? And the fleet, did it reach Oak Island in Nova Scotia, where Pitt's booby-trapped with floods guard buried riches as seen on cursed reality shows? Or further, to pre-Columbian America, where Templar crosses etched on stones in Newport Tower suggest voyages funded by Sinclair princes of Scotland? The curse, too, does it extend to those who seek these truths? Treasure hunters mysteriously, researchers vanish, fortunes crumble. Perhaps the greatest secret is that the Templars never truly fell. They evolved, their white mantles traded for suits and symbols, influencing banking giants like the Rothschilds, who some claim descend from Templar financiers. Deeper into the abyss, consider the Eleusinian mysteries influence those ancient Greek rites of death and rebirth, mirrored in Templar burials where knights were interred with crossed legs, symbolizing resurrection, or the assassins, their Hashashin rivals in the Levant, with whom they allegedly exchanged esoteric arts, mind control, poisons, visions induced by hashish. Saladin himself respected the Templars, sparing some in exchanges that might have included Sufi mysticism, blending with Kabbalah to form a universal wisdom. The Shroud of Turin, analyzed by modern science, shows pollen from plants near Jerusalem and blood types matching ancient relics. Did Templars smuggle it from Constantinople after the Fourth Crusade's sack in 1204? Barbara Fraill's Vatican research claims yes, with Templar seals on its cloth, and the Ark, that biblical chest of divine power, lost after Babylon's conquest. Templar excavations under the Temple Mount, using tools from Roman ruins, stones shipped from Europe, as chroniclers note, might have unearthed it, its mana-producing capabilities, the real philosopher's stone. Legends say it hums with energy, capable of leveling armies, hidden now in Ethiopia's Axum or Scotland's Rosslyn, guarded by descendants. The curse protects it. Those who approach without purity perish, like the Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark, a film steeped in Templar lore. These enigmas persist because the Templars mastered secrecy, their codes unbreakable even now. Ciphers in their seals, like the two knights on one horse, symbolizing poverty, or perhaps duality, good and evil entwined. Their round churches, mimicking the Holy Sepulchre, align with ley lines, ancient energy paths that some say amplify psychic visions. In Switzerland, where fugitives fled, neutral banks echo Templar finance, vaults rumored to hold Grail fragments. Yet, as we ponder, more questions arise. If de Molay's curse felled kings, does it curse modernity, financial crashes, pandemics, wars as punishment for forgetting? Are world leaders today unwitting puppets of Templar bloodlines, steering toward a new Jerusalem? The answers elude, buried in shadows, inviting us to dream of what lies beyond. Welcome, dear listeners, to Mystery History for Sleep. I am Mr. H, your guide into the veiled corridors of the past, where enigmas unfold like whispers in the night. Tonight, we've begun our journey with the eternal enigmas of the Knights Templar secrets, curses, and hidden treasures that continue to haunt the annals of history. What Templar secrets stir your dreams? Share your theories below and subscribe to Mystery History for Sleep for more shadowed tales. As these enigmas swirl, let them guide you into slumber's embrace. Did the Templars truly perish, or did they weave themselves into history's fabric, guiding revolutions from shadowed lodges? In a Scottish chapel, a figure traces a Templar cross beside a Masonic compass, the air chilling with whispers of knights reborn as Freemasons. At Bannockburn in 1314, mysterious warriors turned the tide, fugitive Templars aiding Robert the Bruce. Roslyn's carvings of New World plants suggest voyages centuries before Columbus, guided by star charts from Arab allies. This vision isn't mere fantasy, it's the beating heart of conspiracies that have echoed through time, transforming the Templars from historical footnotes into eternal phantoms. Consider the Freemasons, that enigmatic fraternity emerging in the 18th century, their rituals a labyrinth of symbols and secrets. Many theorists claim the Templars didn't perish, they evolved. Fleeing Philip IV's purge, survivors allegedly sought refuge in Scotland, where the excommunicated King Robert the Bruce welcomed them as allies against English tyranny. At the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, just months after Jacques de Molay's fiery execution, a mysterious contingent of knights charged from the woods, turning the tide for Scottish independence. Were these Templars in disguise, their red crosses concealed under Bruce's banners? Legends say yes, and the Rosslyn Chapel, built by William Sinclair, a descendant linked to Templar lore, stands as evidence, its pillars carved with maize and aloe vera, plants from the New World unknown in 15th century Europe. How could such details appear unless Templar ships had crossed the Atlantic long before Columbus, perhaps guided by maps from their Levantine archives? The connection deepens with Freemasonry's origins. Operative Masons, builders of cathedrals, gave way to speculative ones, gentlemen pondering philosophy and esoterica. But why adopt Templar motifs? The two pillars of Solomon's Temple, the all-seeing eye, the knightly degrees. In the Scottish Rite, higher levels explicitly invoke the Templars, portraying them as avengers of de Molay, sworn to dismantle tyrannies like Philip's. Authors like Michael Bagent and Richard Lee in The Holy Blood and The Holy Grail argue this isn't coincidence. The Templars, masters of secrecy, dissolved their order publicly but reformed underground as Freemasons, preserving knowledge from the Crusade's alchemical formulas, Gnostic Gospels, and proofs of Jesus' marriage to Mary Magdalene, whose descendants they protected through the Merovingian bloodline. This sangreal holy blood, not Grail, allegedly flows in European royalty, guarded by a priory of Sion, a Templar offshoot that influenced figures like Leonardo da Vinci. Da Vinci's The Last Supper, with its feminine John or hidden Magdalene, becomes a coded message, a breadcrumb for initiates. But questions swarm like shadows. If Freemasons are Templar heirs, why the silence? Is it to shield the Holy Grail itself, not a cup, but a vessel of divine wisdom or Christ's lineage? Templar excavations under the Temple Mount, those 9 years of digging from 1119, are said to have unearthed it, the chalice from Calvary, or scrolls proving Jesus survived crucifixion, fathering children who fled to France. Holy Grail quests in Arthurian legend, popularized by Chrétien de Troyes, linked to Templar patron Bernard of Clairvaux, might veil this truth. Wolfram von Eschenbach's Parzival describes the Grail as a stone fallen from heaven, guarded by Templar-like knights. Conspiracy circles whisper that after 1307, the Grail vanished with the La Rochelle fleet, perhaps to Oak Island in Nova Scotia, where booby-trapped pits flooded by ingenious Templar engineering defy treasure hunters to this day. Carbon-dated artifacts there show medieval European presence, fueling tales of Templar voyages to America, establishing colonies or hiding relics from papal eyes. Survival theories proliferate like unchecked vines. In Portugal, the Order of Christ rose from Templar ashes, its cross adorning sails during the Age of Discovery. Prince Henry, the Navigator, Grand Master, funded expeditions that mapped Africa and beyond. Were these Grail quests in disguise, seeking lost Eden or Atlantis? Christopher Columbus, married into a family with Templar ties, carried charts echoing ancient Piri Reis maps, possibly Templar loot from Constantinople's sack in 1204. In America, Freemason founders like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin embedded Templar symbols. The pyramid on the dollar bill, unfinished like Solomon's Temple, topped by the Eye of Providence, a nod to Templar mysticism. Washington's Masonic apron, embroidered with crosses, hints at inherited oaths. Did Templars, fleeing to the New World, influence the Revolution, their anti-monarchical vengeance against Philip's heirs manifesting in democracy's birth? Darker strands weave through modern myths. The Illuminati, founded in 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, are accused of Templar roots, a rationalist facade for occult control. Theorists like Nestor Webster claim Templars infiltrated Freemasonry to orchestrate the French Revolution. avenging de Molay by toppling the Bourbon-line Philip's descendants. Guillotines in Paris echoed the stakes, and Napoleon's ransacking of Vatican archives allegedly uncovered Templar documents, fueling his conquests until Waterloo's curse struck. In the 20th century, Nazis under Himmler modelled the SS on Templars' black uniforms mirroring white mantles, Castle Wellsberg a dark round table, Otto Rahn's Grail hunts in Cathar lands, where Templars aided heretics against the Albigensian Crusade, sought to harness its power for the Reich. Post-war, Operation Paperclip smuggled Nazi scientists to America. Were Templar secrets among them, influencing CIA, mind control, or space programs? Pop culture amplifies these echoes, turning history into hypnotic lore. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code posits Templars as Grail protectors, their treasure a bloodline hidden by the Priory of Sion fictional, yet rooted in Pierre Plantard's forged documents. In Assassin's Creed, Templars battle assassins for pieces of Eden, artifacts of ancient gods, mirroring historical rivalries with the Hashashin. Films like National Treasure hide Templar gold under American icons, while Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade guards the Grail with nightly traps. These tales aren't harmless. They fuel real-world obsessions, treasure hunts at Rennes-le-Château, where priest Berenguer Saunier Rie's unexplained wealth sparks Grail rumors, or Friday the 13th superstitions born from the 1,307 arrests. Yet, unanswered riddles persist, drawing us deeper. If Templars survived as Freemasons, why do lodges deny it? Their York Rite Templar degrees mere homage. Does the Grail's eternal life explain elite longevity? Or is it metaphor for knowledge like DNA manipulation, hinted in Templar alchemical pursuits? In banking, their credit system birthed modern finance Rothschilds, often accused of Templar descent, control global wealth. Is the Federal Reserve a Templar vault in disguise? And the Internet age? QAnon echoes Templar conspiracies, elite cabals guarding child, blood secrets akin to Magdalene's line. UFO theorists link Templars to ancient aliens, their ark a extraterrestrial device. These theories thrive because the Templars mastered ambiguity seals with dual meanings, castles aligned to stars. In Switzerland, neutral banks echo their autonomy, vaults perhaps holding Baphomet's head, whispering prophecies. Or in the Vatican, suppressed gospels from Templar libraries. The curse lives. Those probing too deep face ruin researchers discredited, fortunes lost. Is it coincidence? Or Templar watchers ensuring secrets sleep? As echoes fade, more questions arise. If Templars shape our world, what revelation awaits one of unity or apocalypse? Do they guard against cosmic threats, or orchestrate them? The veil thins, inviting dreams where answers lurk just beyond reach. In the pre-dawn chill of the 13th of October, 1307, as the first rays pierced the fog-shrouded streets of Paris, royal agents burst into the fortified halls of the temple, their boots echoing like thunder against stone. Chains clanked as they seized Jacques de Molay, the Grand Master himself, dragging him and hundreds of his brothers into the abyss of dungeons where screams would soon drown out prayers. Was this the righteous purge of heretics, or a king's desperate grab for gold veiled in accusations of devilry? What hidden forces propelled Philip IV to unleash this storm? And did the Templars' whispered secrets, relics of power, alchemical mysteries, seal their doom in a web of betrayal that still ensnares history's untold truths? If their fall was orchestrated from shadows deeper than any torture chamber, what revelations lie buried in the ashes of their confessions, waiting to curse the modern world as they did the medieval one? The arrests unfolded with chilling precision, a symphony of treachery orchestrated by Philip IV, known as the Fair for his golden looks but infamous for his iron grip on power. Deep in debt from wars with England and Flanders, Philip had long eyed the Templars' vast wealth gold, amassed through banking, lands donated by nobles, treasures perhaps unearthed from Jerusalem's ancient vaults. But his motives ran darker. The order's autonomy, answering only to the Pope, challenged his divine right as king, a sovereignty he had already tested by clashing with previous pontiffs. Whispers of heresy provided the spark. Rumors, likely planted by Philip's minister Guillaume de Nogaret, accused the knights of spitting on the cross, denying Christ, and worshipping idols in secret rites. These charges, fabricated or exaggerated, masked a greed that historians trace to Philip's financial desperation, as he had already expelled Jews and seized their assets in 1306. Yet, beneath the surface, conspiracies swirled. Did Philip fear the Templars' occult knowledge, alchemical secrets gleaned from Muslim scholars, or relics like the Holy Grail that could undermine his throne? Sealed orders, issued on the 14th of September, 1307, the Feast of the Holy Cross. A date laden with irony commanded bailiffs across France to arrest every Templar at dawn on Friday the 13th, a day forever branded with superstition. Over 600 knights, including de Molay, were captured without resistance, their preceptories sealed, assets inventoried. The charges read like a nightmare from the Inquisition's playbook: heresy, idolatry, sodomy, and obscene kisses during initiations. Baphomet, that enigmatic idol described as a bearded head or three-faced demon, featured prominently. Was it a symbol of forbidden wisdom, perhaps a code for alchemical transmutation, or a slanderous twist on Mahomet to link them to Islam? Confessions poured forth under torture, racks stretching limbs, feet roasted over flames, sleep deprivation breaking wills. De Molay himself, after days of agony, admitted on the 24th of October to denying Christ and spitting on the cross, a statement circulated widely to justify the purge. But was this truth, or torment's lie? Hidden motives emerge. Philip's envy of Templar relics, perhaps the Ark of the Covenant or Shroud of Turin, rumoured to hold mystical power that could eclipse royal authority. Pope Clement V, a Frenchman elected with Philip's influence and relocated to Avignon under his shadow, reacted with feigned outrage, initially protesting the arrests as an infringement on papal jurisdiction since Templars answered only to Rome. Clement bowed to pressure. On the 22nd of November, 1307, his bull Pastoralis Praeeminentiae extended the arrests Europe-wide, ordering monarchs to seize Templar properties. Yet, Clement's reluctance hints at deeper intrigue. He knew the charges were thin, perhaps fabricated to cover Philip's debts, which included loans from the Templars themselves. In France, trials intensified. By November 1307, 138 Templars confessed in Paris alone, their statements scripted to include idol worship and homosexual acts, fueling public horror. Torture's brutality knew no bounds. Knights suspended by wrists, weights pulling joints apart, hot irons, branding flesh. Many recanted later, only to face relapsed heresy charges, a death sentence without appeal. Conspiracies whisper that Nogaret, Philip's ruthless advisor who had assaulted Pope Boniface VIII in 1303, planted occult elements in the accusations Baphomet as a veiled reference to alchemical heads or Gnostic symbols, turning the Templars' esoteric knowledge against them. As investigations spread, inconsistencies emerged. In England, Edward II dismissed the charges as baseless, defending the Templars in letters to Clement and other kings, but complied under papal pressure in December 1307. There, without torture, illegal under English law until papal insistence in 1311, few confessed, and trials dragged on with acquittals or light penalties. In Cyprus, fair proceedings in 1310 acquitted all Templars, though later retrials retried into obscurity. Germany saw varied outcomes. Burnings in Magdeburg, contrasted with defences in Mainz, where knights arrived armed to proclaim innocence. Iberia resisted. Spanish and Portuguese kings, finding no guilt, reformed Templar assets into new orders like Montesa, 1317, and Christ, 1320, retaining wealth locally. These disparities fuel mysteries why such uniformity in French confessions, if not coerced. Perhaps Philip's agents suppressed evidence of Templar innocence, hiding relics that could prove their guardianship of ancient mysteries. By 1308, Clement attempted control, interviewing leaders at Poitiers, but Philip withheld de Molay and others, sending them to Chinon for secret absolution. The Chinon parchment, rediscovered in 2001, reveals Clement absolved de Molay and others in August 1308 after confessions, restoring them to the church, yet Philip ignored it, pursuing dissolution for profit. Papal commissions in 1309 to 1310 heard defences, but when Templars rallied in 1310, Philip's ally, the Archbishop of Sens, burned 54 as relapsed heretics on May 12, silencing opposition. This mass execution, flames devouring bodies as crowds watched in horror, exemplifies the purge's brutality. Conspiracies suggest it masked theft of mystical artifacts, like the Philosopher's Stone, rumoured in Templar vaults. The Council of Vienne, 1311 to 1312, sealed the fate. Despite unproven charges, Clement issued vox in excelso on the 22nd of March, 1312, suppressing the order administratively, not for heresy, to appease Philip. Ad providum transferred assets to the Hospitallers, but Philip claimed administrative costs, seizing much for himself. Historians estimate he pocketed fortunes, easing debts while enriching cronies. Mysteries abound. Did Clement's compliance stem from blackmail over Templar secrets, like proofs of Jesus' humanity or Gnostic texts that could shatter papal authority? Leaders lingered in limbo until 1314. On the 18th of March, before Notre Dame, de Molay, and Geoffroy de Charny recanted confessions, proclaiming innocence and the order's purity. Condemned as relapsed heretics, they burned that evening on Île aux Juifs. De Molay, composed amid flames, cursed Philip, Clement, and accomplices. Within a year and a day you shall answer before God. Eyewitnesses vary. Some attribute words to another Templar, but the curse's fulfillment is eerie. Clement died the 20th of April, 1314, of illness. Philip the 29th of November, from a hunting stroke. Philip's sons perished childless. Louis X, 1316. Philip V, 1322. Charles IV, 1328. Ending the Capetian line after 300 years. Divine vengeance or coincidence? Conspiracies suggest poison or Templar agents avenging with shadows. The Suppression's legacy, a precedent for state over church, torture for confessions, greed cloaked in piety, Templars scattered pensions in monasteries, absorption into other orders, but mysteries persist. Escaped knights carrying relics, seeding secret societies. Philip's victory sparked the 100 Years' War, his dynasty's fall inviting chaos. Did the curse extend, felling inquisitors and kings? In distant Germany, contemporaries spoke of retribution. Even Clement reportedly expressed remorse. Occult whispers. Accusations hid envy of alchemical heads like Baphomet, codes for transmutation or prophecy, relics fueling royal paranoia. Unanswered riddles haunt. If charges were false, what truths did torture bury? Grail guardianships, bloodlines divine. Philip's agents found empty vaults. Did treasures flee to Scotland or Portugal, birthing new eras? The curse's echo in revolutions, wars, French monarchy's guillotine fall, Napoleon's Vatican raids suggests a spectral hand. Modern elites, banking cabals echoing Templar finance, perhaps inherit this shadow. What if the Suppression unleashed forces still shaping destiny, a conspiracy where the burned rise eternal? As flames of history flicker in your thoughts, questions burning unanswered, ponder the fall's true cost, a order's end, or secret's rebirth in darkness. Beneath Rosslyn Chapel's carved stones, a chest reveals maps to lost worlds, whispering, "We endure." Portugal's Order of Christ, reborn in 1319, funded voyages mapping Africa, its cross on Columbus's sails, hinting at Templar charts. Spain's Montesa and Santiago orders drove the Reconquista, their tactics echoing Templar discipline. Round Church's London's Temple, Tomar's convent align with solstices, suggesting ley-line rituals. Banking innovations seeded Italian finance, influencing Renaissance art. Swiss banks and Rothschilds mirror Templar neutrality. Freemasonry's Templar degrees, American seals, and Da Vinci Code myths perpetuate their shadow. Did they spark revolutions or guard bloodlines? Questions haunt. Do their relics power modern elites or lie dormant, awaiting revelation? The Templars' fall left echoes that reverberate through centuries, transforming medieval warriors into timeless enigmas. In the immediate aftermath, their vast holdings, castles, lands, treasures were dispersed but not destroyed. Pope Clement V's bull Ad Providum in 1312 transferred most assets to the rival Hospitallers, yet kings across Europe maneuvered to claim shares, turning suppression into a scramble for spoils. In France, Philip IV seized fortunes under the guise of debts owed, easing his wars but igniting whispers of a curse that doomed his line. Elsewhere, clever monarchs preserved the Templars' essence under new banners, ensuring their military might and mystical aura endured. Portugal's King Dinis, recognizing the order's value, petitioned the Pope to reform them as the Order of Christ in 1319, headquartered in the imposing Convent of Christ at Tomar, a fortress blending Romanesque strength with Gothic grace, its round chapel mimicking Jerusalem's Holy Sepulchre. This successor order, adorned with a cross evolved from the Templar emblem, became a powerhouse of maritime exploration. Prince Henry the Navigator, as its Grand Master, channeled Templar wealth and navigational secrets, charts blending Arab astronomy with Byzantine ingenuity, into voyages that mapped Africa's coasts and ventured into the Atlantic. Was this mere discovery, or a veiled quest for lost continents like Atlantis, hinted in Plato's dialogues and echoed in Templar lore of ancient wisdom buried beneath waves? Christopher Columbus, linked through his wife's family to Portuguese Templar descendants, sailed under sails bearing the Order of Christ's cross, his logs cryptic with references to Western paradises that theorists claim stem from Templar maps of pre-Columbian Americas. In Spain, the legacy splintered into orders like Montesa and Santiago, fueling the Reconquista's final push against Muslim strongholds. These knights, inheriting Templar tactics of fortified castles and disciplined charges, stormed Granada in 1492, ending centuries of Islamic rule on the Iberian Peninsula. But shadows linger. Did these successors guard esoteric knowledge, blending Christian zeal with Kabbalistic secrets acquired during Templar-Muslim truces? The Alhambra's intricate geometries, preserved post-conquest, mirror Templar architectural motifs, star alignments, labyrinthine designs that some say channel ley lines, ancient energy paths connecting sacred sites from Jerusalem to Iberia. This martial rebirth wasn't confined to the battlefield. It seeded cultural myths of chivalric heroes, inspiring tales like Don Quixote, where windmills become giants in a world haunted by nightly ghosts. Architectural remnants stand as silent sentinels to this legacy, their stones etched with symbols that tease hidden meanings. Round churches, modelled after the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, dot Europe from London's Temple Church, with its effigies of knights in eternal repose, to Portugal's Tomar and France's Leon. These circular designs, defying rectangular norms, evoke sacred geometry, the circle as eternity, the cross as sacrifice. Excavations reveal anomalies, carvings of exotic plants in Rosslyn Chapel, built by Sinclair descendants alleged to harbour Templar fugitives, suggesting voyages to the New World. Castles like Château Pellerin in the Levant or Crac de Chevalier, once Templar strongholds, feature innovations, concentric walls, murder holes, and cisterns that withstood sieges. But mysteries abound. Underground tunnels in these fortresses, discovered by modern archaeologists, lead to chambers with alchemical symbols, mercury vials, star charts hinting at occult experiments. In Scotland, the Newport Tower's cylindrical form, predating Columbus, bears Templar crosses, fueling theories of Atlantic crossings. What energies do these structures harness? Some claim they align with solstices, amplifying visions or prophecies, as if the Templars encoded Gnostic knowledge into mortar and stone, veiling ancient Egyptian or Phoenician secrets from prying eyes. Financial innovations form another pillar of this shadowy inheritance, birthing systems that underpin modern economies. The Templars pioneered banking, safe deposits in their preceptories, letters of credit allowing pilgrims to travel cashless, and exemptions from usury laws that amassed fortunes. Non-combatant brothers managed this infrastructure, issuing early checks and managing estates from Scotland to Syria. After suppression, these practices didn't vanish, they evolved. Italian merchants, influenced by Templar methods during Crusades, developed double-entry bookkeeping and international trade networks. The Hospitallers absorbed Templar assets, expanding into Mediterranean commerce, while Portuguese successors funded explorations that opened global trade routes. Conspiracy threads weave here. Did Templar gold seed the Renaissance, financing artists like Da Vinci, whose works hide codes? Modern banking giants, Swiss vaults echoing, Templar neutrality, Rothschild fortunes linked in myths to Templar descendants perpetuate this legacy. The Federal Reserve's pyramid seal, unfinished like Solomon's temple, mirrors Templar symbolism, prompting questions. Do elite cabals, inheriting Templar ledgers, control global wealth, manipulating markets as knights once did battles? Their early credit systems, avoiding physical gold transport, foreshadow digital currencies, blockchains as unbreakable as Templar oaths. Cultural impact amplifies these shadows into modern myths, blending history with legend in a tapestry of intrigue. Freemasonry, emerging publicly in 1717, claims Templar roots, rituals invoking de Molay's vengeance, degrees like Knight Templar requiring Christian faith, symbols of Solomon's Temple mirroring order seals. Theorists argue fugitive Templars infiltrated stonemason guilds, reforming as speculative masons to preserve Gnostic wisdom, dualism of light and dark, sacred feminine suppressed by orthodoxy. Scottish Rite lodges, with their Templar-inspired uniforms and oaths, fuel tales of hidden influence. American founders like Washington and Franklin, Masons all, embedding symbols in the U.S. Great Seal. Did Templar myths inspire the Enlightenment, their anti-tyranny ethos sparking revolutions? In media, Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code popularizes Priory of Sion hoaxes, portraying Templars as Grail guardians of Magdalene's bloodline, a divine descent theorists trace to Merovingian kings protected by the order. Films like Indiana Jones hunt Templar relics, while Assassin's Creed pits them against eternal foes, echoing Hashashin rivalries. Legends of lost treasures, fleets vanishing from La Rochelle, pits on Oak Island booby-trapped with floods draw hunters, their failures cursed like de Molay's prophecy. Yet, unanswered enigmas pull us deeper. If Templar architecture channels ancient energies, why do sites like Chartres Cathedral align with stars, perhaps portals to lost knowledge? Does their banking legacy conceal control over modern fortunes? Elites hoarding Atlantis maps from Portuguese voyages. Freemasonic myths veil Gnostic truths, Jesus as mortal teacher, Magdalene as apostle suppressed to maintain power. In the Reconquista's wake, Spanish successors completed a crusade that birthed empires, but at what cost erasing Islamic wisdom the Templars once traded? The Order of Christ's Cross on Vasco da Gama's sails opened India, but sought Prester John's mythical kingdom, a Christian Atlantis in Africa. Modern echoes, Nazi quests for Grail in Templar ruins, or QAnon's cabals mirroring bloodline conspiracies. What if Templars' shadows influence AI, their codes reborn in algorithms predicting futures like Baphomet's whispers? These legacies, from medieval might to myths, endure because the Templars embodied paradoxes, warriors of faith wielding forbidden knowledge, their suppression unleashing forces that shape our world. Questions burn eternal. Do descendants guard relics in Vatican vaults or Swiss banks, awaiting revelation? Is the modern age their ultimate victory, shadows ruling from boardrooms as once from battlefields? As these legacies of shadows swirl like mist in your mind, questions echoing unanswered, ponder the Templars' true inheritance, a world forever changed, yet veiled in mystery. At Hattin in 1187, Templar knights charged through Saladin's flames, their discipline legendary, yet betrayal by Grand Master Gerard de Ridderfort led to slaughter 230 beheaded, their shades haunting the sands. Ascalon's 1153 siege saw Bernard de Tremollay's doomed breach, visions guiding his charge. Montgisard's 1177 miracle, 80 Templars routing 26,000, spark tales of St. George's aid or alchemical smokes. The Third Crusade's Acre siege relied on Templar blockades, their scouts wielding the Holy Lance, said to grant victory. Later crusades faltered Damietta's 1,219 capture drowned in Nile curses. Acre's 1,291 fall, Guillaume de Beaujeu dying in a final stand, and Rouad's 1,303 loss sealed Outremer's doom. Were these defeats cursed by relics, or internal plots to protect sacred artifacts? Their ghostly valor lingers, whispering of eternal crusades. The Battle of Hattin stands as the Templars' most infamous spectre, a turning point where glory crumbled into ghostly legend. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, King Guy of Lusignan's army, including over 200 Templars under Grand Master Gerard de Ridderfort, marched across waterless plains in blistering heat, drawn into Saladin's trap. The Muslim forces, unified under the brilliant Sultan, encircled the Christians, setting fires that choked the air with smoke and ash. Templar charges, disciplined and ferocious, smashed through lines time and again, their heavy cavalry thundering like avenging angels. Yet, whispers of betrayal haunt the tale. Ridefort, a man of fiery temper and questionable judgment, allegedly urged the fatal advance against wiser counsel, perhaps driven by personal vendettas or hidden agendas tied to the Order's secret vaults. As night fell, the Templars formed a desperate rearguard, their banners tattered, horses foaming. Captured brothers refused ransom, choosing death over dishonor. Saladin himself ordered their execution, beheading 230 Templars as the most dangerous foes. Eyewitness accounts speak of eerie lights dancing over the field post-battle, ghostly knights reliving their final charge, cursing those who led them to ruin. Was this the curse of Desmoulins' forebears, a spectral precursor to the Order's downfall, or manifestations of cursed relics like fragments of the True Cross, said to bleed when defeat loomed? This catastrophe followed earlier triumphs that cemented the Templars' reputation as battlefield phantoms, unyielding warriors whose discipline bordered on the supernatural. In the Siege of Ascalon in 1153, their first major engagement, Grand Master Bernard de Tremolay led a daring breach through collapsed walls, charging into the city with 40 knights. Isolated and overwhelmed, they perished in a hail of arrows and blades, their bodies recovered only after the city's fall. Chroniclers debated motives: glory, seeking plunder, or heroic sacrifice. But mysteries deepened. Survivors whispered of visions guiding Tremolay, perhaps prophetic dreams from Baphomet-like idols, urging the assault as a test of faith. Ascalon's capture secured Jerusalem's southern flank, but the ghosts of those lost knights lingered, said to haunt the ramparts on moonless nights, their armored forms patrolling eternally against phantom foes. The Templars' role in the Crusades amplified these ghostly legends, their campaigns a tapestry of heroism laced with enigma. During the Second Crusade, 1147 to 1149, summoned after Edessa's fall, Templar contingents provided logistics and discipline amid the disorganized European armies of Louis VII and Conrad III. Their scouts, versed in Levantine terrain, navigated treacherous passes, but failures at Damascus bred accusations of sabotage. Did internal factions, guarding esoteric secrets, withhold aid to preserve hidden knowledge? Visions reported by knights, like saintly apparitions urging retreat, fueled myths of divine favoritism, or perhaps hallucinogens from assassin contacts, blurring reality in the desert heat. Montgisard, in 1177, offered a spectral victory, an improbable triumph that seemed plucked from legend. 16-year-old King Baldwin IV, the Leper King, mustered a mere 500 knights, including 80 Templars under Odo de Saint-Amand against Saladin's 26,000. Striking with surprise, the Templars spearheaded the charge, shattering Muslim formations in a whirlwind of steel. Saladin's army disintegrated, fleeing across sands stained red. Chroniclers attributed it to miracles, a vision of St. George appearing above the fray, rallying the Christians. But darker theories persist. Did Templars deploy alchemical smokes or poisons? Secrets traded with Sufi mystics during truces. Odo's leadership, blending monastic prayer with martial fury, evoked ghostly resolve, as if ancestors from the First Crusade whispered tactics in his ear. This victory delayed Saladin's advance, but its supernatural aura lingered. Knights claiming ethereal allies turned the tide. The Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, summoned spectral echoes anew, as Richard the Lionheart's forces reclaimed coastal strongholds after Hattin's horrors. Templars, rebuilt under Robert de Sablé, provided reconnaissance and naval support, their fleet blockading Acre during its grueling siege. As walls crumbled in 1191, Templar assaults pierced defences, but massacres followed. 2,700 Muslim prisoners slain on Richard's orders, a brutality that haunted survivors. Ghosts of Hattin seemed to rise, with reports of shadowy figures aiding night raids, perhaps cursed souls seeking vengeance. Ridefort's successor navigated alliances with Richard, but tensions brewed. Did Templar autonomy conceal plots to hoard relics like the Holy Lance, unearthed at Antioch and said to grant invincibility? The Crusades' treaty restored some lands, but unresolved mysteries, visions of Christ appearing to knights, prophetic dreams foretelling Saladin's mercy, cemented their role as battlefield mystics. Subsequent campaigns deepened the ghostly lore. The Fourth Crusade, 1202 to 1204, diverted to sack Constantinople, a betrayal where Templars played minimal roles, distancing themselves from the Venetian-led greed. Yet, whispers suggest they profited secretly, smuggling Byzantine relics, icons, bleeding myrrh, fragments of the true cross to European preceptories. This Orthodox schism's ghosts haunted later efforts, as if cursed by betrayed Christians. The Fifth Crusade, 1217 to 1221, targeted Egypt, with Templars aiding the capture of Damietta, their engineers building siege towers that withstood Nile floods. But overreach led to disaster in the Delta marshes, knights drowning amid crocodile-infested waters. Survivors spoke of spectral guides, ghostly lights leading retreats, or curses from pharaonic artifacts disturbed during digs, echoing Temple Mount excavations. The Sixth Crusade, 1228 to 1229, led by Emperor Frederick II, achieved Jerusalem's return through diplomacy, not blood, a pragmatic truce that irked Templars' hardline stance. Frederick, excommunicated and fascinated by Islamic science, negotiated with Sultan al-Kamil, but Templars viewed it as heresy, their ghosts of Hattin demanding war. Visions plagued camps, apparitions of Saladin mocking the peace, or cursed crowns foretelling the city's loss in 1244. Frederick's victory proved fleeting, but it highlighted Templar adaptability, learning Muslim tactics like mobile archery, blending with heavy cavalry for hybrid warfare that seemed supernaturally effective. Later crusades blurred into heroic desperation. The Seventh, 1248 to 1254, under Louis IX, saw Templars at Mansourah, charging through arrow storms in a battle that devolved into urban slaughter. Louis's capture and ransom left scars, with Templar bankers facilitating payments. Did they withhold funds to preserve secrets, or were ghostly debts from past lives at play? The Eighth Crusade, 1270, targeted Tunis, ending in plague and Louis's death, Templars evacuating survivors amid fever-dream visions of apocalyptic riders. Heroic last stands define the Templars' ghostly pinnacle. At Arsuf in 1191, their disciplined rear guard held against Saladin's assaults, Richard praising their unbreakable wall. But Acre's fall in 1291 eclipses all a 2-month siege, where Templars under Guillaume de Beaujeu defended the last Crusader stronghold. As Mamluk catapults pounded walls, knights sallied forth in midnight raids, their white mantles like phantoms in the dark. Beaujeu fell mortally wounded, urging fight on. As breaches widened, the final holdout, the Templar fortress, collapsed under mines, burying attackers and defenders alike. Survivors evacuated by sea to Cyprus. But legends tell of ghosts rising from rubble, eternal guardians of lost Outremer. Ruad Island in 1302 to 1303 marked the ultimate stand. A tiny outpost off Syria, Templars held against Mamluk hordes until betrayal by Genoese allies doomed them. Captured knights executed en masse, their spirits said to haunt the waves, whispering of unfinished crusades. Leaders like Rydfort embody this haunted heroism. His capture at Marj Ayun in 1187, refusal of ransom, and death at Acre in 1189 paint a man driven by visions or curses, perhaps internal conspiracies to protect Grail-like artifacts during retreats. Adaptations fueled their ghostly aura. Crossbows from Muslim designs, siege engines with Byzantine twists, horse breeds tolerant of desert heat. Scouting units, familiar with terrain spirits jinn of Arab lore, blended pragmatism with mysticism. Relations with Muslims evolved from enmity to enigmatic respect, truces allowing knowledge exchanges, perhaps occult pacts with Sufis or assassins, trading poisons for prophecies. Unanswered riddles haunt these fields. Were divine interventions real, or alchemical illusions? Did cursed artifacts doom defeats, like True Cross fragments lost at Hattin? Internal betrayals for hidden agendas safeguarding Grail during retreats suggest deeper conspiracies. Ghosts of Mongizard victories contrast Hattin's horrors. But what if spectral legions were Templar psyops, veiling esoteric warfare? These battlefield ghosts, major campaigns of valor and vanishing, heroic stands against oblivion, linger as Enigmas warriors whose spirits defy death, shaping myths of eternal crusade. And now, dear listeners, as these tales of enduring enigmas swirl like mist in your mind, remember this is mystery history for sleep. I am Mr. H, inviting you to drift further into the night with us, where truths and shadows entwine eternally. Did Templar secrets doom Outremer? By 1200, Crusader states shrank to coastal strips, reliant on Italian trade amid Venetian-Genoese wars. European zeal faded, the Fourth Crusade sacking Constantinople, Templars gaining relics like bleeding icons. Mamluk Sultan Baybars, rising in 1260, raised Safed and Antioch, his strategies eerily precise spies, or Cathar allies leaking Templar plans. Hospitaller rivalries and noble feuds fractured unity. Mongol pacts failed at Ain Jalut, cursed by clashing spirits. Laforbi's 1,244 slaughter, Tripoli's 1,289 fall, and Acre's 1,291 apocalypse where Templars fought to the last saw omens, blood-red wells, prophetic tremors. Ruad's 1,303 loss ended hopes. But did Templars sacrifice Outremer to save hidden Essin scrolls? Their ruins whisper of secrets sparking modern wars. The glory of Outremer, those Crusader kingdoms forged in the fires of the First Crusade, began fading almost as soon as it peaked, a slow erosion masked by fleeting victories but inexorable as desert winds. By the late 12th century, after the Third Crusade's Pyrrhic gains under Richard the Lionheart, the Christian holdings shrank to a fragile coastal strip from Antioch in the north to Jaffa in the south, vulnerable outposts hugging the Mediterranean like desperate fingers clutching a crumbling ledge. Jerusalem, the jewel reclaimed briefly in 1229 through Frederick II's diplomacy, slipped away again in 1244 to the Khwarezmian Turks, its walls echoing with phantom cries of the 1099 massacre. This territorial fragility bred economic woes. Without inland farmlands, the states relied on Italian merchant fleets for supplies, fostering rivalries that turned brother against brother. Venetian, Genoese, and Pisan traders warred in the streets of Acre during the 1252nd War of St. Sabas, their galleys ramming each other in harbours while Mamluk spies watched from shadows, laughing at the self-inflicted wounds. Conspiracies whisper here did Templar bankers, profiting from these trades, secretly fuel the chaos to consolidate power, or were cursed relics from Constantinople's sack in 1204 stirring discord. Their unholy energies corrupting alliances? European enthusiasm, that fervent blaze ignited by Urban II's call at Clermont in 1095, cooled to embers as the 13th century dawned. Monarchs, once eager for plenary indulgences and Eastern glory, turned inward, their realms fractured by feudal squabbles and emerging nation-states. Papal summons for new crusades met deaf ears. The Fourth Crusade 1202 to 1204, intended for Egypt, diverted to sack Constantinople in a betrayal of staggering greed, Venetian doges manipulating the army to settle debts. Templars, with minimal involvement, distanced themselves publicly, but rumors persist. Did they covertly acquire Byzantine relics during the pillage icons that wept blood, fragments of the True Cross infused with dark energies that cursed subsequent efforts? This orthodox betrayal deepened schisms, ghosts of betrayed Eastern Christians haunting Western dreams, manifesting as prophetic nightmares foretelling Outremer's doom. Later expeditions faltered. The Children's Crusade of 1212 ended in tragedy, innocents sold into slavery amid visions of divine betrayal. Louis IX's Seventh Crusade, 1248 to 1254, collapsed at Mansoura, the saintly king captured amid Nile mists where spectral crocodiles devoured knights, perhaps summoned by ancient Egyptian curses, disturbed by Templar digs. The rise of the Mamluks accelerated this ruin, their slave soldier elite forging a unified juggernaut from the ashes of Ayyubid divisions. Baybars, ascending in 1260 after assassinating his predecessor, embodied ruthless efficiency, a former slave turned sultan. His campaign's systematic sieges that dismantled Crusader fortresses like a predator stripping bones. Antioch fell in 1268 after a brief siege, its population massacred or enslaved, Baybars sending boiled heads of defenders to Damascus as trophies. Templar strongholds crumbled, safed in 1260, where 80 knights chose suicide over surrender, their ghosts said to wander the ruins, moaning oaths unbroken. Beaufort in 1268, its walls echoing with eerie winds that locals attribute to cursed Templar treasures buried beneath. Baybar's strategies seemed preternaturally insightful. Did he possess spies within the order, or ancient maps traded during truces, revealing hidden tunnels? Conspiracies deepen. Baybars, versed in Sufi mysticism, allegedly consulted oracles that prophesied Christian downfall, mirroring Templar initiations rumored to involve prophetic heads like Baphomet. Internal divisions gnawed at Outremer like a plague from within, turning potential unity into a haunted house of rivals. The military orders Templars and Hospitallers competed fiercely for donations and influence, their brawls requiring papal intervention. In 1259, a skirmish over a village escalated into open warfare between the orders, arrows flying as Muslim observers expressed bewilderment at such folly. Noble factions splintered further. Poulan, locally born Franks acclimated to Eastern ways, advocated coexistence and trade with Muslims, clashing with European newcomers drunk on zealous fury. Women's inheritances complicated matters. Queen Melissenda's regency in the 1142nd set precedents, but succession crises like those after Baldwin V's death in 1186 invited intrigue, perhaps manipulated by Templar diplomats guarding secret bloodlines. Italian merchant wars exacerbated this, Genoa and Venice turning Acre's quarters into battlegrounds, their spies allegedly peddling poisons derived from assassin formulas, blurring lines between ally and foe. Desperation bred enigmatic alliances, none stranger than overtures to the Mongols. Hulagu Khan's hordes, sweeping from the east in the 1252nd, sacked Baghdad in 1258, ending the Abbasid Caliphate in a bloodbath that shocked the world. Crusaders saw opportunity. Bohemond VI of Antioch allied with the Mongols against common Muslim enemies, Templars facilitating diplomatic missions laden with gifts and perhaps esoteric exchanges. Mongol shamans, with their sky worship and prophetic bones, traded knowledge with Templar chaplains versed in Kabbalah, forging pacts that seemed forged in otherworldly fires. But betrayal loomed. The Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260 saw Mamluks under Qutuz crush the Mongols, a defeat attributed to divine intervention or cursed Templar relics that backfired, their energies clashing with steppe spirits. This alliance's failure isolated Outremer further, ghosts of Mongol envoys haunting negotiations, whispering of apocalyptic riders from Revelation. The mid-13th century's catastrophes piled like storm clouds. The Battle of La Forbie in 1244, often called the Second Hattin, pitted a Crusader alliance against Egyptian Khwarezmian forces, resulting in slaughter. Over 5,000 Christians dead, including Templar Grand Master Armand de Périgord, vanished in the melee, captured, killed, or spirited away by unseen hands. Survivors spoke of unnatural fogs blanketing the field, disorienting knights as if cursed by disturbed graves. Inland fortresses fell in waves. Caesarea in 1260, Arsuf the same year, Jaffa in 1260, 8 each loss accompanied by eerie phenomena, like wells turning blood red or phantom trumpets sounding retreats. Baybar's successor, Kalawun, continued the onslaught, his son Al-Ashraf Khalil delivering the death blow. Tripoli's fall in 1289 unfolded in a maelstrom of betrayal and omen. Bohemond VII's death left a power vacuum, Italian merchants intriguing for control as Mamluk armies massed. The siege lasted a month. Walls breached amid earthquakes that locals deemed divine wrath or Templar experiments with gunpowder gone awry, their alchemical fires summoning seismic spirits. Thousands perished in the sack, survivors enslaved, but ghostly tales emerged. Apparitions of armored knights evacuating invisible treasures through secret tunnels, perhaps grail fragments spirited to Cyprus. Acre's cataclysm, in 1291, epitomized Outremer's ruin, a 2-month apocalypse where the last great Crusader city became a charnel house. Al-Ashraf's 100,000-strong army hurled boulders from massive trebuchets named Victorious and Furious, pounding defences as Templars and Hospitallers mounted desperate sallies. Grand Master Guillaume de Beaujeu fell early, arrow-pierced but urging advance, from his deathbed. As breaches widened, street fighting devolved into horror, women and children slain, fires raging unchecked. The Templar fortress held last, its vaults collapsing under mines, burying 200 Mamluks in rubble that seemed to swallow souls. Evacuations by sea saved some, but ghosts proliferated. Spectral ships sailing eternally from Acre's harbour, laden with lost relics, or Beaujeu's shade-patrolling ruins, sword drawn against phantom invaders. The final flicker came at Ruad Island in 1302 to 1303, a speck off Tortosa, where Templars established a raiding base, dreaming of reconquest. Besieged by Mamluks, the garrison of 120 knights fought to the last, betrayed by Cypriot reinforcements that never came or deliberately withheld in shadowy plots. Captured and executed, their headless bodies dumped into the sea, but legends persist, underwater apparitions guiding divers to sunken treasures, or cursed winds whipping storms against those who desecrate the site. Outremer's decline, from glory's zenith to ruin's abyss, birthed profound shifts. Military orders gained prominence amid secular weakness, their independent wealth and recruits a bulwark, yet without the Holy Land, purpose waned, inviting the 1307 purge. European disinterest bred inward focus, crusading zeal redirecting to Baltic pagans or Iberian Moors. Mysteries abound. Did prophetic omens, comets over Acre, bleeding statues in churches foretell the end, ignored by prideful leaders? Internal sabotage, perhaps Hospitaller Templar rivalries concealing Grail disputes, accelerated collapse. Mongol alliances hid esoteric trades, shamanic rites, blending with Templar rituals but fractured, unleashing curses that doomed alliances. Unanswered riddles swirl. What if glory's fall unleashed spirits still haunting Middle East conflicts, echoes of unresolved crusades? Did buried relics, ark fragments, Grail echoes curse the land, their energies fueling eternal strife? Templars' ghosts, in last stands of valor, whisper of secrets preserved through ruined knowledge awaiting rebirth in shadowed times. As these tales of decline and ruin swirl like mist in your mind, questions echoing unanswered. Ponder Outremer's true legacy, a faded dream haunted by eternal shadows. A sailor's log, found in Acre's ruins, recounts a Templar galley vanishing into fog, its crew whispering of star charts to unknown lands. By 1150, their fleet ruled from Acre, hybrid ships blending western hulls with eastern sails. Patrols thwarted pirates. Blockades aided Acre's 1,191 siege, and trade-funded missions silks for iron, pilgrims for gold. Navigational tools astrolabes. Byzantine lanterns guided night voyages, perhaps to secret isles hiding the Holy Lance. In 1307, 18 galleys fled La Rochelle, reaching Scotland or Oak Island, their traps guarding treasures. Portugal's Order of Christ sailed to Africa, but were they seeking Atlantis? Ghostly ships haunt Mediterranean tales, relics disrupting compasses. Did these voyages seed American myths, or conceal divine artifacts? The Templars' maritime mysteries began not with grandeur, but necessity, evolving from their core mission of safeguarding pilgrims on land to dominating the treacherous waves that connected Europe to the Holy Land. By the mid-12th century, the fragile Crusader states depended on sea lanes for survival, reinforcements from distant kings, supplies to withstand sieges, and safe passage for the faithful flocking to Jerusalem's shrines. Muslim naval raiders and pirates lurked in hidden coves, preying on vulnerable merchant ships with swift dhows that darted like shadows. Recognizing this vulnerability, Templar leaders like Grand Master Robert de Craon invested in vessels, starting modestly with converted merchant naves for transporting horses and arms. But whispers of deeper motives circulated. Were these early ships mere logistics, or vessels for smuggling relics unearthed from Temple Mount digs, artifacts pulsing with otherworldly energy, capable of calming storms, or revealing hidden currents through alchemical compasses? Acre emerged as the beating heart of this naval empire, its harbour transformed into a fortified marvel by Templar engineers. Stone quays extended like armoured fingers into the sea, shipyards humming with the clamour of hammers, forging hybrid vessels that blended sturdy western hulls for cargo, with sleek eastern lateen sails for manoeuvrability in fickle Mediterranean winds. Workshops crafted slipways for rapid repairs, warehouses stocked with provisions preserved by techniques borrowed from Arab preservers, salted meats, dried fruits, and mysterious herbs said to ward off scurvy or induce visions during long voyages. By the 1172nd, the fleet numbered dozens, shallow draft galleys for coastal patrols, hunting pirate lairs with boarding parties of sergeants armed with crossbows, larger naves for heavy transport, their reinforced decks accommodating armoured knights and warhorses, and specialised pilgrim ships, bunked for hundreds, where chaplains conducted masses amid rolling waves, blending monastic chants with the creak of timbers that some swore echoed ancient incantations. These maritime operations fulfilled layered purposes, shrouded in enigma. Patrol convoys reduced pirate attacks dramatically, grouping merchant vessels under Templar escort, their Red Cross banners a deterrent like a spectral ward. During the Third Crusade's siege of Acre in 1189 to 1191, Templar ships enforced a blockade, starving Saladin's relief forces while ferrying siege engines too massive for overland transport. Wounded knights evacuated under cover of night, their moans mingling with sea shanties that masked coded messages, perhaps signals to hidden allies or invocations to saintly protectors like Nicholas, patron of sailors. But darker tales surface. Did these blockades conceal smuggling of occult texts from captured Muslim libraries, pages detailing star navigation or elixir recipes that granted unnatural endurance at sea? Conspiracies suggest Templar mariners, trained in a dedicated branch separate from land knights, incorporated forbidden knowledge astronomical charts from Baghdad astronomers, showing constellations as portals to divine insight, or magnetic lodestones enchanted to point not just north, but to legendary lands like the Isles of the Blessed. Innovation defined their fleet, a fusion of cultures that bordered on the arcane. Ships adopted Eastern influences, lateen sails for tacking against winds, shallow drafts for navigating reefs, haunted by legends of sunken Atlantis outposts. Western deep hulls provided stability for ocean crossings, hinting at voyages beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Navigation blended traditions, coastal landmarks with Muslim astrolabes measuring celestial heights, allowing precise latitude calculations under starlit skies that nights interpreted as prophetic signs. Signal lanterns arranged in patterns maintained fleet cohesion during night operations, a system more advanced than contemporary navies, perhaps derived from Byzantine fire signals or alchemical glows that didn't consume fuel. These techniques enabled daring exploits, raids on Egyptian ports, intercepting slave ships or spice caravans at sea, their prizes funding the order, while amassing maps of hidden routes, currents leading to uncharted islands where, legends claim, Templars established secret bases, stockpiling treasures against the coming fall. Commercial ventures veil deeper mysteries, profits from trade during truces sustaining the Order's mission, but inviting questions of hidden agendas. Templar ships carried Eastern luxuries, silks from Damascus, spices from India to European markets, returning with timber and iron. Pilgrims paid premium fares for secure passage, their journeys scheduled like clockwork between ports. But what of the undocumented cargoes? Whispers tell of nights when holds brimmed with relics, the Spear of Destiny, smuggled from Antioch, its tip said to grant victory but curse the unworthy with madness, or scrolls from the Library of Alexandria's remnants, detailing lost continents where pre-flood civilizations hid knowledge of eternal life. These voyages, profitable on the surface, perhaps served as trials for greater expeditions testing hulls against Atlantic gales, guided by Piri race, like maps compiled from Arab, Viking, and perhaps Phoenician sources, predating official discovery by centuries. The fleet's zenith coincided with Outremer's twilight, its mysteries amplifying as landholdings shrank. After Hattin in 1187 and Jerusalem's loss, coastal enclaves like Acre relied utterly on sea supply, Templar vessels becoming lifelines amid isolation. During the Fifth Crusade's Nile campaigns, ships transported armies upriver, their oarsmen chanting rhythms that echoed monastic psalms, perhaps invoking protection from river spirits or cursed pharaonic guardians disturbed by invasions. As Mamluks advanced, the fleet evacuated refugees from falling cities Tripoli in 1289, where ghostly lights guided ships through bombardments, or Acre in 1291, where the last Templars sailed from flaming docks, their holds rumoured to carry the Order's most sacred secrets to Cyprus. Hidden voyages form the fleet's darkest enigmas, tales of ships vanishing into legend. On the 12th of October, 1307, the eve of the arrests, 18 galleys reportedly departed La Rochelle, laden with treasures from the Paris Temple, gold ingots, jeweled crosses, and perhaps the Holy Grail itself, a vessel said to glow with inner light, calming tempests, or revealing safe harbours. Did they sail west, guided by star charts aligning with ley lines, to Scotland's rugged coasts where Robert the Bruce welcomed them? Rosslyn Chapel's carvings, exotic plants like maize, unknown in Europe, suggest contact with Americas. Templar explorers, perhaps reaching Nova Scotia's Oak Island, digging pits flooded by ingenious traps to guard ark-like chests. Theories abound. Henry Sinclair, Scottish noble with Templar ties, allegedly voyaged in 1398, his Zeno map fragments depicting North American coasts with eerie accuracy. Conspiracies link this to pre-Columbian artifacts. Kensington runestone in Minnesota, etched with runes mentioning Goths and Norwegians, but perhaps Templar code for hidden outposts. Or Newport Tower in Rhode Island, its round design mirroring Templar churches, carbon dated to the 14th century. These voyages, if real, concealed profound secrets, quests for Eden's remnants or Atlantis's echoes, where antediluvian knowledge awaited. Templar mariners, sworn to chastity but versed in esoteric rites, perhaps sought the Philosopher's Stone in volcanic isles, its elixir granting immortality glimpsed in prolonged lives of Order leaders. Naval pacts with Genoa or Venice, rivals on surface but allies in shadow, exchanged maps of Phantom Islands, High Brazil, off Ireland, appearing in mists like a Grail vision. During the Mongol alliances, Templar ships may have ventured Black Sea routes, trading with Golden Horde ports for Silk Road secrets, blending shamanic navigation with astrolabes to chart polar paths. Mysteries persist in the fleet's fate post-Suppression. Absorbed by the Order of Christ, its vessels propelled Portugal's discoveries, Vasco da Gama, rounding Africa in 1498. His logs cryptic with references to eastern paradises that echo Templar prophecies. But what of lost armadas? Sunken galleys off Cyprus yield artifacts, crosses with engraved runes, amphorae containing herbs for visionary trances, ghost ships sighted in fog, white-sailed phantoms crewed by armoured spectres haunt mariners' tales, guiding or dooming vessels near Templar routes. Conspiracies suggest these apparitions guard underwater vaults, relics like the Ark emitting energies that disrupt compasses, creating Bermuda-like triangles in the Mediterranean. Naval enigmas extended to combat innovations, fire ships laden with Greek fire, a Byzantine secret perhaps enhanced by alchemical additives that burned underwater, summoning flame demons in sailors' eyes. Blockades during Acre's siege featured underwater barriers, chains haunted by drowned knight spirits. Templar captains, selected for seafaring aptitude, underwent initiations at sea oaths sworn under stars, kissing salt-crusted crosses, blending monastic vows with nautical mysticism. Unanswered riddles sail eternal. Did hidden voyages discover America, seeding native myths of bearded gods from the east? What artifacts grail Chalice's calming seas, or maps to muse remnants lie in ocean depths, cursed against unworthy finders? Templar fleets, from protective armadas to phantom explorers, veil a legacy where seas hold history's deepest secrets, waves whispering of worlds unseen. "Why does gold turn to ash in my dreams?" a Templar treasurer whispered, sealing a credit letter in Paris's vault. Donations Count Raymond's castles, widows' dowries built a network of preceptories managing rents and trade. Letters of credit, encrypted with Hebrew numerology, allowed cashless travel, their usury exemptions fueling profits. By 1250, Templar income rivaled France's funding fleets, but breeding envy, Philip IV pawned jewels there before his 1307 betrayal. Empty vaults sparked legends. Gold to Scotland, cursed by Judas's coins. Italian banks inherited their double-entry systems. Spanish orders Reconquista spoils. Modern conspiracies Rothschilds, Federal Reserve echo this. But do cursed ledgers still control wealth? A treasurer's fear lingers. What price did their riches demand? The Templars' financial shadows began humbly, intertwined with their protective mission, but swiftly evolved into a revolutionary system that cast long enigmas over medieval economics. Founded in 1119 as poor knights sharing horses, they relied on donations, lands, tithes, and alms from nobles, seeking spiritual merit for sins of war and excess. These gifts, documented in charters like Count Raymond's bequest of castles for his soul's salvation, accumulated rapidly after papal recognition in 1129, creating a network of commanderies from Scotland's misty highlands to Cyprus's sun-baked shores. But necessity birthed innovation. Pilgrims travelling dangerous roads carried valuables vulnerable to bandits, prompting Templars to offer secure deposits. A knight could entrust gold at a European preceptory, receiving a letter of credit, redeemable in the Holy Land early banking drafts that eliminated risky cash transport, their seals unbreakable oaths, backed by the order's reputation for honour. This system, exempt from usury laws by papal decree, interpreting Templar loans as administrative fees, allowed interest-like profits without sin, a loophole that theorists claim veiled alchemical secrets, formulas for multiplying wealth, perhaps derived from Arabic texts on infinite compounding, whispered during truces with Muslim scholars. As the order's wealth swelled, contradictions emerged like curses from the vault vows of personal poverty clashing with institutional opulence, sowing seeds of resentment that would bloom into their downfall. Commanderies functioned as fortified banks. The Paris Temple, a massive complex near modern Place de la République, housed royal treasuries. King Philip IV, storing crown jewels there before his betrayal. Knights managed diverse portfolios, agricultural estates yielding rents, urban properties in booming trade centres like Bruges and Venice, vineyards in Champagne producing wines traded for Eastern spices. Donations poured in, a widow's dowry for her husband's crusade sins, a baron's castle to offset tournament excesses. By the 13th century, estimates suggest Templar holdings rivaled monarchies, their annual income funding armies and fleets. But whispers of a curse circulated. Brothers who handled gold reportedly suffered visions, spectral hands clutching coins that turned to ash, or dreams of Judas's 30 pieces multiplying into chains binding their souls. Conspiracies abound. Did this wealth stem from Temple Mount excavations, unearthing Solomon's legendary mines or alchemical stones that transmuted base metals, a secret guarded jealously and cursed against greed? Innovation extended to sophisticated tools that foreshadowed modern finance, veiled in mystery. Letters of credit, encrypted with codes only initiates understood, perhaps Kabbalistic symbols blending Hebrew numerology with Arabic algebra, allowed transfers across borders without physical movement, a precursor to wire transfers. Pilgrims deposited funds in London, withdrawing in Acre via standardized receipts, fees covering protection that masked profits. This network transcended politics. A French knight could borrow against English lands, funds flowing through Templar channels immune to royal taxes by papal privilege. Maritime extensions amplified this. Ships carried credit notes alongside cargo, enabling trade in silks, spices, and slaves redeemed from Muslim captivity. But enigmatic undercurrents flowed. Did these notes conceal messages about hidden relics, like Grail coordinates or Ark fragments, encoded in transaction ledgers? Theorists point to Templar influence on Italian banking houses. The Bardi and Peruzzi families, rising in the 14th century, adopted similar systems post-suppression, perhaps inheriting suppressed knowledge through fugitive knights. The curse manifested here. Overextension led to 1,342 bankruptcies, echoing Templar wealth's perilous allure. Wealth's curse deepened as power grew, contradictions inviting spectral backlash. Vows forbade personal possessions, yet the order amassed fortunes contradicting Christ's camel through needle parable, breeding envy among secular lords. Kings borrowed heavily. Henry III of England pawned crown jewels to Templars, Philip IV, using their vaults as state treasury before 1307's purge. This dependency bred resentment. Philip, drowning in war debts, saw the order's autonomy as a threat, their direct papal allegiance undermining his sovereignty. Conspiracies swirl. Did Templar treasurers wield influence through loans, manipulating monarchs like puppets with strings of gold? Whispers of alchemical gold-making persist. Experiments in commandery laboratories, using mercury and sulfur to forge pure wealth, but cursed with toxicity that drove brothers mad. Visions of demonic forges haunting their sleep. The Paris Temple's donjon, a towering keep, housed vaults reputedly booby-trapped, with mechanisms from Byzantine engineers, flooding chambers or collapsing floors to protect not just coin, but arcane tomes on infinite wealth. Perhaps formulas for the philosopher's stone that promised eternal riches but demanded soul sacrifices. The 1,307 arrests unveiled the curse's full fury, wealth vanishing like mist before dawn. Philip's agents found Paris vaults empty, treasures spirited away perhaps on the La Rochelle fleet, gold transmuted into curses against the king. Suppressed assets flowed to hospitalers, but much was siphoned. Philip claimed debts, easing finances but dooming his dynasty, as Demolay's fiery prophecy foretold. This dissolution scattered financial shadows. Portuguese Order of Christ inherited banking savvy, funding explorations that opened global trade, their credit systems seeding colonial empires. Spanish successors like Calatrava managed Reconquista spoils, their ledgers blending Templar precision with Moorish accounting, perhaps concealing alchemical secrets in double-entry books that balanced souls as well as coins. Modern myths amplify this cursed legacy. conspiracies linking Templar finance to global cabals. Swiss banking neutrality, echoes order preceptories, safe havens exempt from taxes, vaults guarding numbered accounts like medieval deposits. Rothschilds, rising in the 18th century, are accused of Templar descent, their fortunes built on credit networks mirroring letters of exchange, manipulating wars for profit as knights once did crusades. Illuminati theories claim Templar wealth funded the group's 1,776 founding, a rational facade for occult control usury exemptions, evolving into fractional reserve banking, creating money from nothing like alchemical gold. Federal Reserve conspiracies point to 1913's creation, its pyramid seal unfinished like Solomon's Temple, a Templar nod to eternal building. Digital currencies, Bitcoin's blockchain, as unbreakable as order seals, carry the curse. Volatile fortunes crashing like cursed vaults, hackers vanishing into shadows like fugitive knights. Enigmas persist in wealth's shadows. Did Templar curses doom lenders, their gold tainted by broken vows, causing depressions or crashes? Vault relics, grail chalices multiplying loaves like compound interest perhaps fuel elite longevity, bloodlines preserved through financial dynasties. Pop culture echoes. National treasure hides Templar gold under icons. Da Vinci Code links wealth to divine secrets. Oak Island pits, flooded traps guarding billions, suggest cursed hordes, diggers plagued by accidents, as if spectral guardians enforce poverty vows. Wealth's curse, from innovations birthing banks to shadows haunting modernity, reveals Templars as financial phantoms, riches promising power but delivering ruin. Questions eternal. What if their ledgers hold keys to infinite wealth, guarded by curses against the unworthy? Do modern tycoons inherit this shadow, manipulating markets with ancient formulas? Templar finance, a legacy of light and darkness, whispers of fortunes built on sand, ready to swallow the greedy. I am Mr. H, inviting you to drift further into the night with us, where truths and shadows entwine eternally. At Arsuf in 1191, Templar knights held formation under arrow storms, their charges shattering Saladin's lines, blades rumoured to gleam with runic power. Training forged discipline, drills after prayers, noble recruits wielding hybrid tactics, Western cavalry, Eastern archery. Castles like Crac de Chevalier featured concentric walls, blueprints blending Roman and Arab designs, their cisterns purified by alchemical filters. Excavations reveal runic foundations, suggesting geomantic wards. Warrior monks, vowing purity, fought ethically no retreat, unless outnumbered, yet legends speak of Egyptian war scrolls guiding charges. Did these tactics hide mystical pacts, ensuring victory but cursing defeat? Their mastery haunts modern warfare's shadowed roots. The Templars' military mastery emerged from a revolutionary fusion of faith and fury, transforming humble pilgrim protectors into an elite force whose tactics, castles, and monastic warriors cast long shadows of enigma over medieval warfare. Standardized training formed the bedrock, a regimen blending knightly prowess with monastic rigor, conducted in commanderies where dawn prayers segued into grueling drills. Recruits, often noble second sons drawn by glory and indulgences, underwent months of preparation. Mounted combat on war horses bred for endurance, formation maneuvers where hesitation meant death, and spiritual exercises invoking saints like George for battle trance. But mysteries veiled these sessions. Initiates reportedly meditated on relics like true cross fragments, inducing visions of angelic strategies or demonic foes, perhaps hallucinogens from Eastern herbs enhancing focus, blurring lines between divine inspiration and occult enhancement. Conspiracies suggest this training incorporated ancient texts, scrolls from Alexandria's lost library, detailing phalanx formations of Alexander or chariot tactics of pharaohs, smuggled during diplomatic truces with Fatimids. Templar marshals, officers overseeing drills, enforced absolute obedience, their commands like incantations binding units into a single, unstoppable entity. Did this echo Gnostic rites? Souls merged in collective power? Hybrid warfare defined their battlefield genius, a pragmatic blend that seemed supernaturally adaptive. Traditional Western heavy cavalry knights in chainmail thundering charges met Eastern mobility, lighter armor for heat tolerance, Turkish bows for ranged volleys, and scouting techniques learned from Bedouin allies. At Montgizard in 1177, this fusion shone. Outnumbered Templars under Odo de Saint-Amand feigned retreat, drawing Saladin's forces into ambush. Their sudden pivot, a maneuver whispered from Byzantine manuals on deception warfare, but enigmatic elements intrigue. Reports of alchemical smokescreens, powders creating illusions of larger armies, or enchanted horns summoning winds to scatter arrows. Horsebreeding amplified this mastery. Stud farms in Outremer crossbred European destriers with Arabian stallions, producing mounts of unearthly stamina, tolerant of desert sands yet powerful in charge. Nobles sought Templar advice, but conspiracies claim selective breeding incorporated mystical bloodlines. Steeds descended from Solomon's stables, imbued with speed from Jinn pacts, their hooves leaving glowing prints in legends. Castles stood as monolithic testaments to this mastery. Fortifications that weren't mere stone but arcane bastions channeling hidden energies. Innovations like concentric defenses, multiple rings of walls with killing zones between pioneered at sites like Crac de Chevalier, a Syrian behemoth garrisoned by 60 Templars yet holding thousands. Arrow slits angled for maximum coverage, bent entrances thwarting rams, and murder holes raining death on invaders. These features seem drawn from siege manuals of antiquity, perhaps Vitruvius's Roman texts or Archimedes' mirrors, adapted with Eastern twists like massive cisterns, capturing rainwater through alchemical filters that purified or poisoned supplies. Chateau Pellerin, built in 1218 on a promontory jutting into the sea, exemplified this. Its sea-facing walls resisted erosion as if enchanted, tunnels rumored to connect to underwater caves hiding relics. Mysteries abound, alignments with solstices, where sunlight pierced specific slits to illuminate hidden chambers, lee-line convergences, amplifying defensive auras, or curses warding against betrayal. Excavations reveal anomalies, symbols etched in foundations, blending Celtic knots with Islamic geometry, suggesting geomantic rituals to bind earth spirits in protection. Conspiracies whisper these castles, guarded portals, dimensional gates to other realms, accessed via grail-like keys, explaining their impregnability until internal curses, like rival order sabotages, weakened bonds. Warrior monks embodied the pinnacle of this mastery, their dual nature a paradox laced with enigma. Full knights, noble-born and clad in white mantles symbolizing purity, formed the elite corps sergeants in brown-handled support. Chaplains tended souls with rites that bordered on mysticism. Daily life balanced prayer with prowess. Canonical hours interrupted by sword drills. Silence vows broken only for battle cries invoking Mary or Michael. But arcane rites veiled their training. Initiations in candle-lit chapels, where novices kissed swords etched with runes, swearing oaths that bound them to ethereal guardians, perhaps angelic pacts or demonic bargains for victory. Battlefield conduct enforced ethics amid brutality. No retreat unless outnumbered 3-1. Humane treatment of captives contrasting Crusader massacres, yet reports of blessed blades that never dulled, forged with holy water mixed with mercury for alchemical edge. Sieges showcased this. At Ascalon in 1153, Templars breached walls first, their Grand Master Bernard de Tremolay perishing in a glory charge that legends claim was guided by visions of heavenly hosts or cursed by greed for hidden treasures within. Roles in sieges and charges amplified their legendary status, each engagement a canvas for mysterious feats. At the Siege of Damascus in 1148, Templars engineered countermines, tunneling under enemy saps with tools that seemed to whisper directions, perhaps dowsing rods attuned to earth vibrations. Charges at Arsuf demonstrated formation discipline, forbidden from breaking ranks for personal glory. Their cohesive assaults rooted Saladin's forces. Survivors, speaking of an invisible shield, repelling arrows, divine intervention, or alchemical armor coatings. Conspiracies suggest hybrid tactics hid occult elements, potions enhancing stamina, drawn from Hashashin formulas traded in secret meetings, or hypnotic chants, inducing berserker states with outrageous chaos. Engineering Corps built bridges over chasms in hours, using pulley systems from Roman aqueducts enhanced by pulley runes for unnatural strength. Unraveling these masteries reveals deeper shadows, were tactics from hidden scrolls, Egyptian war papyri, detailing sun god invocations for blinding foes cursed to backfire when purity waned. Enchanted swords, glowing in moonlight, perhaps forged with meteor iron carrying cosmic curses, explaining unexplained victories and defeats. Warrior monks' rites, blending chastity with combat, echoed tantric mysteries suppressed by the church. Did this duality summon inner demons, haunting dreams with battlefield phantoms? Castles as energy nexuses. Crac des Chevaliers fall in 1270. One, after withstanding sieges for decades, attributed to a betrayed spell, internal sabotage releasing bound spirits. Conspiracies link this to Grail guardianships, charges protecting relic convoys, sieges defending arcane libraries, where knowledge of gunpowder precursors, Chinese fire lances adapted, secretly promised future dominions, but cursed with explosive failures. Military mastery, from tactics weaving east and west, to castles standing as eternal enigmas and warrior monks as paradoxical phantoms, forged the Templars into legends prowess that conquered fields but invited curses, questions eternal. What if their innovations hid portals to ancient wars, ghosts of pharaohs guiding charges? Do modern militaries inherit this shadow, drones echoing alchemical birds of prey? Templar warfare, a legacy of might veiled in mystery. Whispers of battles where the veil between worlds thins. A novice, trembling before a true cross splinter, felt its warmth stir fears of divine judgment, his vows binding him to a life of paradox. The 1129 rule-dictated routines, matins prayers, silent vegetarian meals, sword drills. Poverty forbade possessions, chastity shunned women, obedience ensured battle unity, yet novices whispered of hypnotic rites, staring into relic flames for visions. Initiations, spitting on crosses, echoed Gnostic rebirth, perhaps venerating Magdalene's legacy. Penances punished infractions, but secret tribunals judged esoteric breaches. A novice's diary confesses dread. The cross watches me sleep. Did these rituals channel cosmic cycles, or curse the unworthy? Their veiled life whispers of eternal secrets. The daily life of the Templars unfolded within a veil of discipline and enigma, governed by a rule crafted at the Council of Troyes in 1129 under Bernard of Clairvaux's watchful eye, a document that fused monastic austerity with martial ferocity. This Latin rule, expanding from 72 articles to hundreds over decades, dictated every facet of existence, from dawn prayers to battlefield conduct, creating a rhythm that seemed both sacred and sinister. Brothers rose before sunrise, summoned by bells to matins, their voices chanting psalms in stone chapels where shadows danced with saintly echoes, or perhaps darker entities invoked in secret. Between canonical hours, lauds, prime, vespers, they trained with sword and lance, their drills as precise as liturgy, yet whispers spoke of meditative trances, staring into relic flames to glimpse battle strategies or divine judgments. The rule's strictures were relentless. No personal possessions, no hunting for sport, no laughter or idle talk, meals eaten in silence while scriptures droned, as if silence itself were a portal to hidden truths. But conspiracies swirled. Did these silences conceal Gnostic chants, learned from Kabbalistic scrolls traded with Muslim mystics, binding monks to esoteric pacts? Vows formed the core of this veiled life, each a chain forged in faith yet tinged with mystery. Poverty demanded renunciation of worldly goods, knights owned nothing, their white mantles and weapons issued by the order, even gifts forbidden without the Grand Master's nod. Yet, the order amassed vast wealth, a paradox that bred curses, brothers handling gold reported nightmares of Judas's coins, multiplying into shackles that burned the soul. Chastity extended beyond celibacy, prohibiting any contact with women, even mothers or sisters, lest temptation unravel spiritual purity. Conspiracies whisper of tantric influences, suppressed by orthodoxy but practiced in secret, where chastity masked rituals channeling sacred feminine energies, perhaps venerating Mary Magdalene as divine consort, her image hidden in chapel carvings. Obedience, the most critical vow, demanded instant compliance, especially in battle, where hesitation could shatter formations. This absolute surrender, likened to Eastern dervish disciplines, hinted at hypnotic rites, oaths sworn on relics that bound monks to unseen masters, perhaps angelic or demonic, guiding their swords with preternatural precision. Daily routines balanced these contradictions, a dance of devotion and danger that seemed to blur the mortal and ethereal. Meals, served thrice weekly with meat, were vegetarian otherwise, eaten in communal silence, while a chaplain read scriptures, yet rumors spoke of ritual fasts, nights abstaining to induce visions, their hunger unlocking prophecies akin to Essene mystics. Clothing was austere. White mantles for knights symbolized purity, brown for sergeants, all bearing red crosses post 1147, a mark of martyrdom some claimed glowed faintly in battle, as if infused with relic power. Grooming followed strict codes, short hair for combat visibility, trimmed beards distinguishing them from secular knights' clean-shaven vanity, but legends hint at symbolic cuts, patterns mirroring ancient runes that channeled protective energies. Penances enforced discipline. Minor infractions earned fasting or extra prayers. Graver ones, like cowardice, brought flogging or expulsion, a fate worse than death, severing the knight's identity. But darker tales suggest secret tribunals, where brothers judged for betraying hidden rites faced banishment to cursed cells, haunted by spectral judges. Hidden rituals cast the deepest shadows, their secrecy fueling accusations that doomed the order. Initiations, conducted in darkened chapels, required novices to spit on crosses, deny Christ thrice, or kiss superiors on spine or lips, acts confessed under torture in 1307, but possibly distorted truths. Were these tests of loyalty, breaking ego for collective unity, or veiled Gnostic rites, echoing Eleusinian mysteries where initiates faced death to embrace rebirth? Conspiracies propose these ceremonies invoked Sophia, divine wisdom, or Baphomet, not an idol but a code for alchemical enlightenment, its three faces symbolizing past, present, and future. Some knights, under duress, spoke of venerating a head, John the Baptist's perhaps, or a mechanical oracle from Byzantine craftsmanship, whispering battle omens. These rites, blending Christian zeal with Eastern mysticism, may have drawn from Sufi exchanges during truces, where Templars learned meditative spins to enter trance states, seeing through enemies' eyes or summoning ethereal allies. The rule's structure, a hierarchy of Grand Master, Seneschal, Marshal, and regional commanders, mirrored celestial orders, angels of war guiding mortal hands. Commanderies operated semi-autonomously, European ones managing estates, Eastern ones fortifying frontiers, yet all linked by a web of coded messages, perhaps scribed in ciphers derived from Hebrew gematria or Arabic numerology. This autonomy bred conspiracies. Did commanders hoard relics like the Holy Lance, using them in private masses to invoke victory or curse foes? Chaplains, ordained priests, led services but also guarded esoteric texts, scrolls from Qumran or Alexandria, detailing rituals to align with ley lines, earth energies enhancing combat prowess. Daily life in Outremer saw brothers patrol bandit-ridden roads, their vigilance unbroken even in sleep, as if trained to dream of ambushes, a skill whispered from assassin mind techniques. Psychological dissonance haunted this life. Monks trained for peace yet forged for war, their souls torn between serenity and slaughter. Novices faced rigorous initiations, mentored by seniors who navigated these paradoxes, but some fled, overwhelmed by visions of blood-soaked crosses or spectral voices demanding impossible feats. Those who endured found purpose in the veil, their hybrid identity, neither fully monk nor knight, creating a third path, a mystical warriorhood that seemed to channel divine wrath or forbidden power. Conspiracies deepen. Did daily rituals include alchemical elixirs, brewed from desert herbs to sharpen senses, or meditations on star charts, aligning with cosmic cycles, granting foresight of enemy movements? The rule's adaptability, adjusting to European harvests or Levantine sieges, hid esoteric flexibility, seasonal rites at solstices, where knights burned offerings to seal pacts with unseen forces, perhaps guardians of the Grail or Ark, ensuring victory but cursing the unworthy. These hidden rituals sparked the 1,307 accusations, distorted by torture but rooted in truths too dangerous for the Church. Philip IV's agents, seizing empty vaults, found no gold but perhaps overlooked scrolls encoded prophecies of apocalyptic wars, or maps to treasure islands guarded by spectral fleets. The curse of wealth, a shadow over daily life, manifested in brothers' dreams, gold turning to ash, relics bleeding warnings of betrayal. Modern echoes resonate. Freemasonic lodges, inheriting Templar oaths, conduct silent ceremonies mirroring these routines, their aprons echoing mantles. Conspiracy theorists claim global elites, descendants of Templar treasurers, practice similar rites in boardrooms, invoking wealth spirits to control markets. Unanswered enigmas veil this daily life. Were rituals portals to ancient wisdom, binding knights to cosmic cycles? Did vows conceal tantric secrets, suppressed feminine deities resurfacing in modern cults? The curse of their life piety clashing with power lives in haunted ruins, where ghostly chants echo in Templar chapels, whispering of rites unbroken. "What price for Jerusalem's throne?" whispered Baldwin IV to Templar Odo de Saint-Amand, their secret council interrupted by a relic's pulsing glow. Outremer states Jerusalem, Antioch, Tripoli balanced feudal rule with local alliances, Templars as papal agents wielding autonomy. Baldwin II backed their founding. Fulk leaned on them against nobles, but Amalric resented their land refusals. Were they guarding sacred bloodlines? Tripoli's land grants hid Sufi text exchanges. Antioch's Byzantine ties sparked relic grudges. Hospitaller rivalries, noble feuds, and assassin pacts fueled intrigue. Did Templars trade poisons for prophecies? Their diplomacy, balancing war and peace. Whispers of Magdalene cults shaping modern conflicts. The political intrigues of Outremer, those patchwork crusader states etched from Muslim territories after the First Crusade's bloody conquest in 1099, formed a labyrinth of alliances and rivalries, where the Templars emerged as enigmatic power brokers, their white mantles concealing agendas as deep as the Jordan's ancient bed. At the heart stood the Kingdom of Jerusalem, stretching from coastal ports to the river's edge, surrounded by the County of Tripoli, Principality of Antioch, and County of Edessa, fragile enclaves ruled by transplanted European feudalism, yet adapted to Eastern realities with uneasy reliance on local Christian and Muslim administrators. Boundaries fluxed like desert mirages, territories lost and regained through treaties or treachery, while the High Court of Nobles advised or constrained monarchs in a system where crowns were elective, not strictly hereditary, allowing women like Queen Melisenda to wield power through regencies that sparked succession crises rife with shadowy plots. Templars entered this web as both servants and sovereigns, their direct papal allegiance granting autonomy that kings envied, positioning them as counterweights to entrenched nobility, or as suspects in conspiracies to manipulate thrones for hidden ends, perhaps safeguarding Merovingian bloodlines rumoured to descend from Christ, a secret that could undermine papal authority if revealed. Relations with Jerusalem's kings evolved from patronage to precarious tension, laced with enigmatic undercurrents. Baldwin II, granting the Order quarters on the Temple Mount in 1119, saw them as vital guardians of pilgrim routes, their mobility addressing gaps in royal forces stretched thin by constant threats. As wealth grew, Templars assumed broader roles, constructing frontier castles like Chateau Pellerin in 1218, extending crown influence into hostile territories while garrisoning them independently. Under Fulk of Anjou, married to Melisenda, the order provided reliable allies against local barons, their papal exemption from taxes a boon for royal coffers through donations. Yet, this independence bred friction. Kings like Amalric I chafed at Templar refusals to cede captured lands, suspecting hidden motives tied to relics unearthed in those fortresses, perhaps arc fragments channeling divine favor, or curses against disloyal rulers. Conspiracies whisper of Templar influence in royal deaths. Baldwin III's sudden demise in 1160. 3. Amid disputes over Egyptian campaigns, where order advisors pushed for invasions that some claim were veils for quests after pharaonic treasures, cursed artifacts that poisoned alliances. Beyond Jerusalem, political tendrils extended to other states, alliances forged in gold and rivalry steeped in shadow. In Tripoli, Count Raymond II granted extensive lands, including mountain passes controlling interior access, in exchange for protection, yet whispers suggest these pacts concealed esoteric trades, Templars exchanging military aid for Sufi mystical texts that enhanced their initiations. Antioch's princes, entangled in Byzantine politics, maintained cautious ties, Templars navigating orthodox intrigues that echoed the Fourth Crusade's betrayal, perhaps harboring grudges or hidden relics from Constantinople's sack. Edessa's fall in 1144, the spark for the Second Crusade, limited Templar presence there, but its ghostly aftermath haunted alliances, survivors claiming visions of fallen knights demanding vengeance, curses that fractured unity. These regional bonds amplified the Order's influence, but rivalries simmered. Hospitallers, evolving from medical caregivers to militarized peers, competed fiercely for recruits and donations, their disputes erupting into armed clashes requiring papal arbitration. Conspiracies abound. Did these rivalries mask deeper schisms over Grail guardianship? Templars accusing Hospitallers of hoarding Magdalene relics, their battles proxies for occult wars, where losers faced spectral banishment. Diplomacy with Muslim powers added layers of intrigue, alliances transcending religious divides in a dance of pragmatism and enigma. Contrary to perpetual holy war myths, truces defined much of Outremer's existence. Trade flourished, with Templar convoys escorting caravans through neutral zones, exchanging Frankish iron for Damascene silks. Treaties with sultans like Saladin, honoring spheres of influence, often involved Templars as intermediaries, their reputation for oath-keeping a bridge across faiths. But hidden pacts lurked, secret meetings under truce flags where Templars traded knowledge with Sufi scholars, perhaps Kabbalistic diagrams for alchemical formulas, blending monotheisms into syncretic mysteries that challenged orthodoxy. Alliances with the Assassins, that shadowy Ismaili sect, fueled darker conspiracies, non-aggression pacts in the 1172nd, where Templars paid tribute to avoid daggers in the night, but whispers suggest exchanges of mind-altering herbs for visionary rites, or joint quests for lost Eden artifacts buried in Syrian mountains. These Muslim ties, pragmatic on surface, invited accusations of heresy, Philip IV later twisting them into idol worship claims. But what if they concealed bloodline protections? Descendants of Jesus and Magdalene sheltered in Islamic courts, Templars as covert guardians. Internal factions fractured Outremer's politics, rivalries a breeding ground for spectral intrigues. Noble families vied for power, alliances shifting like sands. European newcomers, zealous and disdainful of Poulain, local-born Franks adapted to Eastern coexistence, clashed over policies. Hardliners like Templars advocating eternal war, accommodationists favoring diplomacy. This divide manifested in crises like the 1186 succession after Baldwin V's death, where Raymond III of Tripoli's truce with Saladin enraged Templars, leading to Hattin's disaster conspiracies, claim Raymond's betrayal was a veil for protecting hidden relics, perhaps Grail fragments threatened by war. Women's roles amplified enigmas. Melisendre's co-rule with Fulk sparked plots, her influence perhaps channeling sacred feminine mysteries suppressed by patriarchy, Templars as silent supporters or manipulators. The Leper King's court, Baldwin IV masking his affliction with silver veils, buzzed with whispers of curses, divine punishment for royal sins, or Templar potions prolonging his life through alchemical means. Their price, a soul-bound debt. Post-Hattin in 1187, as Saladin swept through the kingdoms, Templar influence surged amid ruin. Their independent resources, international recruits, untaxed wealth making them indispensable to fragmented rulers. Reduced to coastal pockets, Outremer relied on order castles as bulwarks, Templars negotiating with Mamluks for truces that allowed pilgrim access, but conspiracies suggest these talks hid relic trades, true cross fragments ransomed for prophetic scrolls foretelling reconquest. Rivalries intensified. Hospitaller, Templar feuds over acre districts required royal mediation, their battles perhaps proxies for control over Magdalene bloodlines rumoured among Pauline nobles. Mongol overtures in the 1252nd added intrigue. Templar envoys to Hulagu Khan exchanged gifts for alliances against Mamluks, but shamanic rituals blended with order rites, perhaps summoning steppe spirits that cursed the pacts, leading to Ain Jalut's 1260 defeat where ethereal horsemen vanished in defeat's mists. These intrigues, alliances forged in fire and rivalries steeped in shadow, positioned Templars as Outremer's enigmatic fulcrum, their autonomy a shield and sword, yet inviting curses from envious kings. Political maneuvers balanced mission with machination, grand masters like de Molay navigating webs that ultimately ensnared them. Conspiracies persist. Did Templar diplomats conceal Atlantis maps from Byzantine allies, or blood pacts with assassins granting invisibility in intrigue? Women's thrones hid feminine mysteries, perhaps Magdalene cults veiled in courtly love. Mongol ties unleashed nomadic curses, fracturing unity. Unanswered riddles entwine. What if alliances guarded portals beneath Antioch? Rivalries wars over grail keys. Do modern Middle East intrigues echo these shadows? Bloodlines stirring eternal rivalries. Templar politics, a legacy of intrigue haunted by spectral pacts, whispers of powers unbound. In the scorched twilight of Jerusalem, 1119, as the dust of the First Crusade settled over the blood-stained stones of the Holy City, 9 knights knelt in the shadow of the Temple Mount, their armor glinting faintly under a sky heavy with omens, a comet streaking like a divine warning across the heavens. Led by Hugues de Payens, their faces etched with resolve, they swore vows before King Baldwin II, pledging to protect pilgrims on roads haunted by bandits and whispers of ancient curses. But as they rose, a chill wind swept through the Al-Aqsa Mosque, their new headquarters, carrying echoes of secrets buried beneath the sacred earth relics of Solomon's temple, scrolls of forbidden wisdom, or perhaps the Holy Grail itself, pulsing with unearthly light. Was this humble dawn a mere act of chivalry, or the genesis of a brotherhood destined to wield arcane power, their founding veiled in prophecies that foretold both glory and doom? What hidden visions drove these knights to forge a new path amid Crusade chaos? And did their excavations beneath the Mount unearth truths so potent they would curse empires for centuries to come? The year 1119 marked a crucible of chaos in Outremer. The Crusader states carved from Muslim lands after the First Crusade's brutal triumph in 1099. Jerusalem, now a Christian kingdom under Baldwin I and his successor Baldwin II, stood as a fragile beacon, its streets thronged with pilgrims, seeking salvation at sacred sites, the Holy Sepulchre, Golgotha, the Mount of Olives. Yet, the roads to these shrines were death traps, bandits, remnants of defeated Muslim forces, and desert hazards claimed countless lives, their offerings of gold and relics vanishing into lawless hands. Tales of horror spread across Europe, pilgrims ambushed in mountain passes, their bodies left to vultures, or sold into slavery under Seljuk blades. This vulnerability gnawed at the Crusader dream, a city holy yet helpless, its rulers stretched thin defending urban centers against constant raids. Into this maelstrom stepped Hugues de Payens, a French knight from Champagne, battle-hardened from the First Crusade. His heart stirred by visions, some say divine. Others whisper of nocturnal apparitions urging him to guard the faithful. With 8 companions, Godfrey de Saint-Omer, Payne de Montdidier, Archambault de Saint-Amand, André de Montbard. Among them they proposed a radical order, warrior monks, blending knightly valor with monastic purity, a brotherhood to shield pilgrims where royal armies faltered. Their founding was no mere act of charity, it bore the weight of enigma, as if guided by unseen hands. Baldwin II, recognizing their potential, granted them quarters in his palace wing atop the Temple Mount, adjacent to Al-Aqsa, believed to be the ruins of Solomon's temple. This sacred site, steeped in biblical lore, pulsed with mystery. Legends spoke of treasures hidden beneath gold from Solomon's mines, the Ark of the Covenant, or scrolls detailing divine bloodlines. For nearly a decade, these 9 knights, calling themselves the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, lived in stark simplicity, sharing horses and wearing donated cloaks, their poverty a badge of humility that masked deeper ambitions. Chronicles describe them as so impoverished, 2 rode a single steed, an image immortalized in their seal, yet conspiracies whisper this humility concealed excavations beneath the Mount's secret digs, uncovering relics like the Copper Scroll, a Qumran artifact listing treasure sites in cryptic code. Did they unearth proofs of Jesus' mortality, a married Messiah whose lineage they swore to protect, or alchemical keys to eternal wealth, cursed to invite betrayal? Their mission centered on pilgrim protection, a task fraught with both valor and shadow. Armed escorts patrolled routes from Jaffa's port to Jerusalem's gates, navigating bandit-infested hills where ambushes lurked behind every rock. Using crusade-honed tactics, they organized convoys with knights at vanguard and rear, their vigilance reducing casualties dramatically chroniclers. Note fewer pilgrims fell to robbers within years. But eerie tales emerged, knights reporting visions of saintly guides, leading them through fogs, or spectral bandits fleeing at the sight of Red Cross banners, as if warded by divine sigils. Conspiracies suggest these escorts guarded more than pilgrims' caravans smuggling relics to Europe, perhaps fragments of the true cross that glowed in darkness, or scrolls encoding Essene prophecies of apocalyptic wars. Their Temple Mount base, strategically placed, doubled as a spiritual nexus, some scholars positing they drew inspiration from ancient Levites, guardians of Solomon's original temple, their rites blending Jewish mysticism with Christian zeal, invoking angelic protectors or forbidden jinn. Skepticism shadowed their dawn, the concept of warrior monks a paradox that unsettled medieval minds. Traditional monks sought peace in cloisters. Knights pursued glory in tournaments, combining these sparked theological unease. Could men who shed blood, even for faith, uphold monastic purity? Ecclesiastical critics questioned their dual role, while secular lords wondered who governed these knights, unbound by feudal oaths. This ambiguity fueled conspiracies. Were they a covert arm of the church, spying on kings, or a secret sect guarding heretical truths unearthed in Jerusalem's depths? Their early poverty, relying on alms and worn armor, contrasted with later wealth, inviting whispers of hidden finds gold bars, sacred vessels, or the Holy Grail itself, a chalice or bloodline that could topple orthodoxy. These tensions required resolution. Hugues traveling to Europe in 1127 to seek papal sanction, his journey a quest for legitimacy, but also, perhaps, a mission to conceal relics in Western vaults, away from Muslim raiders or royal spies. The chaos of the post-Crusade era amplified their enigmatic founding. Outremer's states Jerusalem, Antioch, Tripoli, Edessa faced constant threats. Seljuk Turks, emboldened by their 1070, one Manzikert victory over Byzantines, harassed frontiers, while internal rivalries among Crusader nobles bred instability. Pilgrimage, a spiritual lifeline drawing thousands from Europe, was both penance and peril, believers seeking grace at Christ's tomb, but falling to swords or starvation. The Templars' proposal filled a void royal forces couldn't, their mobility and dedication a bulwark against collapse. But their Temple Mount headquarters carried deeper significance. Some claim they were guided by visions to dig, unearthing artifacts that granted prophetic insights, or cursed their bearers with divine wrath. The Comet of 1119, noted in chronicles, was seen as a sign, blessing for their mission, or omen of their eventual purge, a celestial curse mirroring de Malay's later prophecy. Unanswered riddles veil this humble dawn. Did visions divine or demonic drive Hughes, his dreams shaped by scrolls found in Qumran caves? Were excavations a cover for protecting a sacred bloodline, perhaps Magdalene's descendants hidden among pilgrims? The Templar seal, 2 knights on 1 horse, symbolized poverty but hinted at duality, light and shadow, faith and heresy, entwined in their mission. Their founding amid Crusade chaos birthed a brotherhood of paradox, guardians of paths but seekers of secrets. Their legacy a whisper of truths buried beneath sacred stones, waiting to curse or redeem. At Troyes, in 1129, Bernard of Clairvaux's voice silenced doubters, his treatise praising Templars as faith-armored knights. A glowing cross sealed their recognition or warned of hubris. The rule, blending Benedictine austerity with martial codes, set hierarchy: Grand Master, Marshal, Treasurer. Canonical hours, no gambling, red crosses from 1,147 marked martyrdom, perhaps solar sigils. Autonomy from Rome sparked envy, donations flooding from nobles. Bernard's prose hid Kabbalistic hints, knights as alchemists of soul and sword. Did the rule encode grail paths, or curse betrayers? Their birth, a sacred enigma, reshaped Christendom's shadowed heart. The Council of Troyes marked the Templars' metamorphosis from a modest brotherhood into an institution of unparalleled authority, a pivotal moment shrouded in layers of intrigue and divine endorsement. For nearly a decade since their 1119 founding, the 9 knights had operated in obscurity, their hybrid nature warriors sworn to monastic vows, drawing skepticism from both ecclesiastical and secular quarters. Traditional monks viewed armed brethren as an abomination, their bloodshed incompatible with contemplative peace, while knights scoffed at vows curbing glory and wealth. This conceptual rift required resolution, and Hugues de Payens, sensing the order's vulnerability, embarked on a European mission around 1127, not merely for recruits and donations, but perhaps to disseminate hidden findings from Temple Mount excavations, relics, or scrolls that whispered prophecies of their destined rise. His journey coincided with mounting alarms over Outremer's security, military setbacks like Damascus's failed siege in 1148 foreshadowing vulnerabilities, generating support for a dedicated force like the Templars. At Troyes, convened by Pope Honorius II, the assembly gathered to scrutinize this anomalous order, their deliberations a crucible where faith met pragmatism. Bernard of Clairvaux, the era's moral titan and Cistercian abbot, emerged as their champion, his kinship to founding knight André de Montbard adding personal stake. Initially skeptical, Bernard's conversion perhaps sparked by visions during solitary prayers, where angelic voices urged defense of these new knights lent unparalleled weight. His treatise, in praise of the new knighthood, composed to justify their existence, painted secular knights as vain glory seekers, while Templars embodied sanctified violence. A knight who protects his soul with the armor of faith as he covers his body with steel, fearless and safe. But conspiracy's veil this eloquence was the treatise, a code for esoteric Christianity. Its metaphors drawn from Gnostic texts Bernard accessed through Templar channels, hinting at dual natures, outer warrior, inner mystic guardian of sacred bloodlines or alchemical truths. Scholars whisper its structure mirrors Kabbalistic trees of life, branches symbolizing hidden paths to enlightenment, concealed to evade heresy hunters. The council's deliberations, intense and shadowed by debates over bloodshed's compatibility with vows, culminated in formal recognition, a watershed granting the Templars legitimacy and structure. With Bernard's guidance, the rule was formalized, drawing from Benedictine and Cistercian traditions but adapted for military life, a comprehensive guide, spanning spiritual duties and martial responsibilities. This document, originally 72 articles but expanding with statutes on battlefield conduct and penances, established a hierarchy, the Grand Master elected for life, presiding over chapters where decisions flowed collaboratively yet authoritatively. Officers like the Seneschal Deputy, Marshal, Military Commander, Draper, Quartermaster, and Treasurer managing finances with precision that foreshadowed banking empires. Regional commanderies reported to this central authority, allowing autonomy across vast distances, communications via coded missives on horseback, perhaps encrypted with symbols from unearthed scrolls, ensuring secrets like relic locations remained veiled. The rule's enigmatic depths extended to daily observances, balancing prayer with preparation, but conspiracies suggest hermetic symbols woven into its fabric. Canonical hours structured the day, rising for matins, attending multiple services, yet even in campaigns, missed prayers were replaced with pater. Nosters recited a set number, as if numerical patterns invoked protective numerology. Behavioral codes forbade gambling, hunting, except lions, symbolizing the devil, or contact with women, even relatives, their isolation, a veil for inner alchemical work, transmuting base desires into spiritual gold. Appearance was regulated. Short hair, trimmed beards, austere garments bearing the red cross added by Pope Eugenius III in 1147 as a martyrdom symbol, its design perhaps echoing ancient solar emblems for divine favor in battle. Penances graduated from fasting for minor sins to expulsion for grave ones like cowardice, but hidden clauses, some claim, addressed breaches of esoteric oaths, visions induced by forbidden rites, where brothers faced spectral trials in dream realms. Papal autonomy, granted by Honorius II, placed the Templars directly under Rome, exempt from local bishops or secular taxes, a privilege that transcended borders, allowing international operations but inviting curses of envy. This extraordinary status, formalized in bulls like Omni Datum Optimum in 1139, amplified their power, donations flooding from nobles inspired by Bernard's endorsements. Yet, conspiracies persist. Was this autonomy a shield for guarding heretical secrets, like proofs of Jesus' marriage unearthed in Jerusalem, or alchemical formulas for eternal life? The Red Cross, a striking emblem, became recognized across continents, but some whisper its geometry channeled protective energies, a sigil warding against evil, or summoning angelic aid in crises. Bernard's treatise further legitimized this birth, resolving theological qualms by distinguishing Templars as righteous avengers, their violence a holy purge. But enigmatic layers abound. Its prose, rich with biblical allusions, may encode hermetic symbols, knights as alchemists, armor as philosophical mercury hardening the soul. Bernard, ascetic visionary, perhaps glimpsed these truths in clairvoyant states, his Cistercian reforms echoing Templar austerity but hiding shared Gnostic roots. The council's approval transformed the order, recruits swelling, their distinctive mantles a symbol of fear and reverence. Yet, this official birth bore omens. The wind at Troyes, perhaps a spectral breath from Solomon's guardians, warning of the hubris in blending sword and scripture. Unanswered riddles dawn with this recognition. Did Bernard's visions reveal the rule as a map to hidden wisdom, its articles veiling paths to the Grail? Was papal autonomy a curse, inviting royal wrath by transcending earthly powers? The Red Cross, a beacon or blood sigil summoning martyrdom. Templar birth, from council chambers to sacred rule, whispers of a genesis veiled in eternal mysteries. Urban II's 1095 Claremont cry Deus Vult ignited a crusade, a blood-red moon heralding chaos or divine wrath. Feudal Europe, torn by lords' feuds, knelt to the Church's Cluniac reforms, Gregory VII humbling Henry IV at Canossa. Islamic scholars dazzled, Seljuks' Manzikert victory choking pilgrim paths. Pilgrims faced death bandits, disease yet visions of saints guided them, or cursed relics, doomed their quests. The First Crusade's 1099 Jerusalem slaughter birthed Outremer, fragile under Godfrey and Baldwin I, its roads perilous. Were Urban's indulgences a veil for seeking apocalyptic scrolls? The Templars rose from this chaos, their mission a shadowed genesis. The medieval world of the late 11th century pulsed with a volatile mix of faith and ambition, a crucible where the Templars' destiny was forged amid holy wars and shifting powers. Europe, fractured by feudalism, was a patchwork of lords bound by oaths of service, their castles dotting a landscape scarred by territorial feuds. Monarchs, perched atop this hierarchy, wielded nominal authority, their power checked by vassals controlling vast fiefs through armed loyalty. Violence defined daily life raids, vendettas, and tournaments where knights honed skills for glory, yet this chaos bred a yearning for divine order. The Catholic Church emerged as the unifying force, its influence weaving through royal courts and peasant hovels, its doctrine shaping morality and politics. The Cluniac reforms, strengthening papal independence, culminated in Gregory VII's reign from 1073 to 1085, his clash with Emperor Henry IV at Canossa in 1077, where the emperor stood barefoot in snow seeking forgiveness, symbolizing Rome's ascendancy over secular rulers. But conspiracies whispered of deeper motives. Was this investiture controversy a veil for controlling sacred relics, perhaps keys to apocalyptic prophecies that could sway empires? Some claimed the church sought scrolls hidden in Rome's catacombs, detailing divine bloodlines or celestial alignments that could herald a new Jerusalem, a secret agenda masked by spiritual supremacy. Across the Mediterranean, the Islamic world dazzled with sophistication, its scholars in Baghdad and Cordoba preserving Greek wisdom while advancing astronomy, mathematics, and medicine in palatial libraries that rivaled fabled Alexandria. Jerusalem, sacred to Christians, Muslims, and Jews, stood as a contested jewel, its Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque testaments to Islamic reverence since Caliph Umar's conquest in the 7th century. Yet, by the late 11th century, Seljuk Turks, fierce converts to Islam, disrupted this balance, their 1071 victory at Manzikert, shattering Byzantine defences and choking pilgrimage routes with raids. European pilgrims, driven by devotion to pray at Christ's tomb, faced perils, disease, starvation, and banditry, yet tales of their mistreatment, whether true or spun by papal propagandists, fueled a growing fervour. Whispers of visions haunted these journeys, saints appearing in deserts to guide lost travellers, or cursed artifacts stolen from shrines summoning misfortune, perhaps jinn invoked by Muslim sorcerers to thwart Christian piety. Did these stories conceal quests for hidden knowledge, scrolls detailing a married Messiah, or Essene treasures, sought by shadowy sects prefiguring the Templars? Their missions veiled as penance, but aimed at unearthing relics like the Ark of the Covenant. Urban II's call at Clermont was a masterstroke of faith and calculation, blending spiritual promises with earthly ambition that seemed guided by unseen hands. Offering plenary indulgences, full remission of sins, the Pope transformed pilgrimage into armed crusade, rallying thousands to sew crosses onto their cloaks in a fervour that bordered on mass hysteria. Second sons, landless and hungry for glory, saw opportunity in Eastern conquests, while peasants dreamed of divine grace absolving their toil-stained lives. But darker enigmas lurk. Was Urban driven by Byzantine Emperor Alexios I pleas for aid against Seljuk advances, or by prophecies uncovered in Vatican vaults, foretelling a reconquest to unlock Jerusalem's secrets, the Ark, the Holy Grail, or proofs of divine bloodlines hidden since Christ's time? Chroniclers noted omens at Clermont, a blood-red moon, voices in the wind chanting apocalyptic verses, as if celestial forces endorsed or warned against the coming storm. The First Crusade, launched in 1096, erupted in chaos. The People's Crusade, led by Peter the Hermit, ended in massacre by Seljuk blades, but the main armies, French and Norman knights, captured Antioch in 1098 after a grueling siege and stormed Jerusalem in 1099. The siege's brutality shocked even hardened chroniclers. Blood flowed ankle, deep at the Temple Mount. Muslim and Jewish inhabitants slaughtered in a frenzy, some whispered, was a ritual sacrifice to appease ancient spirits guarding sacred sites, their wrath cursing future crusades with inevitable ruin. The victory birthed Outremer, fragile states like the Kingdom of Jerusalem under Godfrey of Bouillon, who took the humble title Defender of the Holy Sepulchre, and Baldwin I, crowned king in 1100. Yet, success bred vulnerability. Most crusaders returned home, leaving a sparse European minority ruling a predominantly Muslim populace, controlling only urban centers and strategic routes, not the vast countryside. Survival depended on sea routes for reinforcements and supplies, but roads to holy sites remained treacherous, bandits targeting pilgrims' offerings of gold and relics, their ambushes spawning tales of ghostly protectors, spectral knights wielding fiery swords or cursed treasures vanishing into sands, perhaps spirited away by jinn or Essene ghosts guarding hidden hoards. This chaos birthed the Templars' mission, their founding in 1119 a desperate response to a world where faith demanded swords to protect the sacred, but conspiracies suggest deeper aims. Excavations beneath the Temple Mount, seeking relics like the Copper Scroll, its coded treasure map guiding knights to divine or demonic powers that could reshape Christendom or doom it to eternal strife. Unanswered riddles haunt this medieval dawn. Did urbans call mask quests for apocalyptic artifacts, setting the Templars as unwitting guardians of forbidden truths that could topple thrones or faiths? Were the Crusades' massacres sacrifices to unlock sacred vaults, their curses dooming Outremer's fragile kingdoms to collapse under unseen forces? The world of faith, power, and holy wars, a crucible of chaos and mystery. Whispers of secrets that shaped a brotherhood destined to rise amid the ruins, their legacy a shadowed enigma that lingers in the mists of time. Dear listeners, as these Templar enigmas swirl, share your thoughts below. What medieval secrets haunt you? Subscribe, tap the bell, and join Mystery History for sleep for more. This is Mr. H, wishing you peaceful slumber filled with ancient truths. Good night, and may shadows guide you gently into sleep until we meet again.